We welcome you to the Rogers Center in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where today the Astros and the Blue Jays wrap up their final game before the All-Star break. Astros riding in at 30 games over 500 despite losing 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays to start this series. Hi everybody, welcome to another afternoon of Astros baseball. I'm Todd Callis alongside Mike Stanton, filling in for Jeff Blum. And Mike, no matter what happens at the end of this day, it's going to be a very successful first half for the Astros going into the All-Star break. It would be nice to get a win and win number 60.
Well, it's actually been historic for this franchise, some of the numbers that they have put up in this first half. But, you know, what it would really do is just give everybody a better feeling going into this break. It is 4 days. Everyone will be going their separate ways. 6 players will be going to Miami for the All-Star game. But to end on a positive note after everything they've done would be nice.
You mentioned it's been a historic first half, and they are putting up numbers that will always be the mark to shoot for future Astros teams.
Every team following this year will, especially at least in the first half, will be compared to this team, and the numbers are just astounding what they've done, and they've done it not really clicking on all the cylinders. They've had a lot of issues in their pitching staff, specifically their rotation, but they've been able to work their way through it.
Quickest to 30, 40, 50, best mark going into the break today, a chance to win game number 60 and set yet another mark. When we come back, we'll tell you about the 6 All-Stars that are heading to Miami, led by Carlos Correa, George Springer, and Jose Altuve, along with 3 pitchers as Julian Morales joins us next to tell us about some of the All-Stars in Miami.
Rogers Center. We're in Toronto for one more. The Astros have 1 game left before the All-Star break, and they want to win it. Jose Altuve coming back after a day off yesterday. He was the first one out for optional BP today. He's looking to keep that bat hot today in this final game before the break. He's got quite the streak going. Our Toyota time to play is going to tell us what it is. He is the first player in franchise history to have 4 straight games with 3 hits. pretty impressive. And the last player that had a longer streak was George Brett. He had 6 straight games in 1976. So it doesn't happen often, and to no surprise, it's being done by one of the best hitters in the game. We've watched Altuve put together a really nice first half of the season, on his way to be named an All-Star for the 5th time in his career, but it hasn't always been easy for him this year. He's gone through his struggles, team picking him up at times during the year. Now, the struggles for Altuve a little different than most. We saw his average dip down on May 26th to 291. However, it's climbed back up, and before this road trip, he was actually at 326. He's gone 12 for 20 on this trip, so now he's up to 342 as he starts this game today. Todd and Mike, he's on such a good team, he really doesn't have to carry it, but somehow he still finds a way. As he goes, the team goes, right?
Seems that way. I mean, every single game he's played on this road trip, he's had 3 hits, and he does a little bit of everything for this offense.
Yeah, he is the swizzle stick. He is the he's the straw that stirs the drink. And how Jose Altuve goes is how this offense goes.
Good to see Altuve back in there today as we look at how A.J. Hinch will present the starting lineup for the final time leading into the All-Star break, presented by Southwest Airlines. At the top, George Springer with those 27 home runs, most ever leading into an All-Star break, in the leadoff hitting role. Jose Altuve, you just heard Julia break down his first half. Carlos Correa, the shortstop, had his 15-game hitting streak snapped. He's back in there in the 3 spot. Evan Gattis, riding a hitting streak of his own, hits 4th. Marwin Gonzalez, 6 straight games with an RBI. Carlos Beltran, the DH. Yuli Gurriel at first base. Alex Bregman at third base. And Jake Marisnick is in center field.
34-year-old Jay Happ, left-handed pitcher, getting the start for the Toronto Blue Jays. The Spring Valley, Illinois native was a 20-game winner last year. This year, it's been a little bit more of a struggle. He's only got 2 wins on the season. He's going to come at the Astros with a whole lot of fastballs, both 2-seam and 4-seam. Low to mid-90s for the most part. He does throw a slider, curve, and change, but this guy throws the fastball 75% of the time. So the Astros, if they can get on that fastball, they got a chance of scoring some runs today on Jay Happ.
Jay Happ had an injury that kept him out for a little more than a month, but he has been very good coming back from that injury, especially his last 5 starts have been his best 5 of his season.
This is only his 10th start of the season, so it has been a little bit of a struggle. And having a 20-game winner not in your rotation is one of the reasons why this team has struggled, especially with that rotation.
So we get ready for the final game leading into the All-Star break. We'll see if George Springer gets a chance to lead off for the American League All-Stars on Tuesday in Miami. He leads off today by swinging at the first pitch and grounding one. Tough play for Donaldson. Bare hand throw, and in time. What a play by Donaldson to start this game. And he slaps 5 with Marcus Stroman out of the dugout on a great bare hand play to get George Springer.
I thought he was going to let the ball go to start off with, but this was a bang-bang play at first base. George Springer getting out of the box pretty well after getting jammed on the fastball. And you see Josh Donaldson make a great barehanded play. If he lets that go, it very well may go foul before it gets to the bag, but he decided to go ahead and make the play. And you look right. Ooh, that looks like George Springer may be safe.
Yeah, this one is going to get overturned. That foot is definitely on the bag before the ball is. It's not even in the back of the glove. It's not in any part of the glove. So Springer's speed is going to beat this one out. Donaldson with a great effort, but George just barely beating that. Tough call at first for John Lipka to start this game on the first pitch. And Lipka and the crew chief Dana DeMuth will put the headsets on. But from the angle we saw, there's pretty clear evidence that Springer's going to be safe.
Good thing George did all of his pregame routine getting ready to warm up those hamstrings, not even getting 2 pitches into the game before having to air it out down the first base line.
So Jay Happ throws 1 pitch, and now he has to wait out a little delay. And the ruling has been made in New York. We anticipate seeing a safe call, which means the call on the field will be overturned. And that's what we get. Donaldson frustrated, but George Springer's speed beats it out. Infield hit for George. He's on yet again.
Take a look at George going down the line. You see the pitch down and away, and George putting his head down, working hard, pumping those arms, getting there to first base just in front of the Josh Donaldson throw. Josh looks at this replay a little later. He may second guess going after that ball because it kicked hard to the left. I think it was going to go foul before it got to that bag.
Here's Jose Altuve. takes a pitch outside. I agree with you. It's a tough play in that it kicked hard to the left, and before that he may have made up his mind that he was going to try and barehand it.
Well, it was well on the inside part of the line. It was inbounds, but with that kick off the turf, that tends to make the ball bite just a little bit more. Jose Altuve swinging through the changeup from J-Happ.
Springer has been on base in the first inning of the Astros road trip 5 of the 6 games. On the ground, Altuve to Tulowitzki for 1 and a double play. Similar to what happened yesterday to the Astros, they hit into 4 double plays in the first 5 innings. Altuve hits into a double play to start this game.
George also not wanting to get this ball thrown at him, slides about 2/3 of the way to second base to get out of the way. Couldn't get to the bag to help break up the throw, so just got his pants dirty.
Beginning of the season, the Astros were leading the American League in grounding into double plays. They have not led the last few weeks, but now in the last few days those numbers have gone up. They're currently 4th in the AL in hitting into double plays. Here's Carlos Correa taking a pitch for a ball, 1-0.
When I saw those numbers earlier in the season,
Correa to right field. That'll get down for a hit. One hops off the wall. Bautista bare hands and holds Correa to a single. Correa extends his on-base streak to 25 games. He had his 15-game hitting streak snapped yesterday.
Taking a look at our strike zone presented by MD Anderson. You see that fastball up and out over the plate. Correa letting that ball travel nicely, hitting it very well off the right field wall. Bautista makes a good play to get this back in a hurry to hold Carlos Correa to a single.
Pitch to Evan Gattis is down low for a ball, 1-0. Correa had been on base 24 straight games. Last time that happened was Adam Everett when he did so at the end of 2004, beginning of 2005. So Correa, 25 straight games on base heading into the All-Star break. He will be the starting shortstop for the American League. Gattis takes one outside. It's 2-0. The leader in double plays now with 92 is the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Astros just hit into their 84th.
You know, when those numbers were so elevated early in the season, it didn't really upset me because they weren't striking out. There was more balls in play, and you know they were getting a lot of hits, so there was a lot of traffic on the bases. It would be one thing if the runs scored category was down low, was down in the league, but it wasn't. So you never want to hit into double plays, but I could actually see the reason why. It was just because of the amount of traffic that was out there.
You saw in our open how many categories the Astros have set their franchise marks in. They also lead the major leagues in just about every offensive category. They lead in batting average, runs scored, hits. They have a 70-hit lead on the next closest American League team. Home runs, the fewest strikeouts, highest slugging percentage, and highest on-base percentage. That is running the table on the offensive end leading into the All-Star break. Astros are going to get a lot of love from the national media over the next 4 days as Gattis draws a walk. So 3 runners have been on this inning. 1 was wiped out on a double play. The Astros have 2 on and 2 outs.
J-Happ doesn't look real comfortable on the mound right now. The fastball velocity isn't quite there. He's usually low, sometimes even into the mid-90s. Fastball velocity's down just a tick. Might take him a little bit of time to kind of find that velocity, not having pitched a full first half of the season.
Here's Marwin Gonzalez. Marwin hit a 9th inning home run in yesterday's game, giving him 16 on the year and also giving him a 6-game RBI streak. He has hit at least 1 RBI, driven in 1 RBI in his last 6 games. Marwin right now with 52 runs batted in. You mentioned J-Happ will mix the four-seam with a two-seam. He will throw more four-seamers than two-seamers to both righties and lefties, but it's a higher percentage of four-seamers to left-hand hitters.
He likes to throw that four-seamer across the top of the zone. Big dude, has a little bit of down here tilt, but likes to have that fastball riding up to try and get the hitters to swing underneath.
Marwin today starting in left field. We saw him start in first base and second base the last couple of days. Continues to play every position very well and give A.J. Hinch incredible flexibility along with great offensive production. Expecting a sellout crowd yet again today here at the Rogers Center. And the 1-1 is on the corner for a strike. It's 1-2.
One of the few offensive highlights yesterday for the Astros, Marwin Gonzalez here late in the game gets a first pitch fastball that he hits extremely well down the right field line. Unfortunately, it was in a losing cause, but Marwin on this road trip has hit 2 home runs here in the last 6 games.
With that RBI yesterday, which gave him 52 on the year, that set his new career high. Last year he drove in 51 in 484 at bats. This year he already has 52 runs batted in and less than half of those number of at bats.
He's done a really nice job of being nice and short to the ball and really capitalizing on any mistake that the pitcher might make.
218 ABs, 52 RBIs. Into center field, bidding for another, and the catch is not made. Pilar, they're going to say no catch. 1 run scores. Gattis is staying at third. They're going to say no catch was made. Pilar is already running in, claiming he made that catch. He turned his back on the infield and didn't see the ruling. But it was signaled by the umpires as a base hit by Gonzalez. So for now, it is 1-0 Astros.
Todd, naked eye, I thought he caught it. I didn't see the ball bounce. Now Marwin, pitch out over the plate, does what he's done all year, just square up the ball. It's tough to tell from that angle, but naked eye, I thought he got the glove underneath it. Pilar, one of the better center fielders, he thinks he caught it also. That's why he did the back pedal here, thinking it was the 3rd out of the inning.
Blue Jays have watched the replay up on the big board here at the Rogers Center, and as a team they are heading off the field, and Evan Gattis is leaving third base, so almost everybody believes this one's going to be overturned. And it is. Oh, Marwin bidding for a base hit, taken away by Kevin Pilar in center. The Astros end up not scoring the run. And we head to the bottom half of the first inning, scoreless on the Pilar. Nice play. failed to score in the top half of the first inning. Here's the Blue Jays starting lineup this afternoon. Jose Bautista will lead things off for John Gibbons, followed by Russell Martin. Josh Donaldson is the third baseman. Justin Smoke at first. Kendrys Morales DHing Troy Tulowitzki on a 5-game hitting streak, hitting 450s at short. Steve Pearce, Kevin Pillar, and Ryan Goins.
Brad Peacock gets the start for the Astros. The 29-year-old Wellington, Florida native has earned 3 straight wins after holding the Braves to 3 runs on 7 hits in 6 innings. He's also has given up 3 runs or less in 6 of the 8 starts that he's had this year. 2-seam, 4-seam, slider, curve, change. And it's really been the command of that slider that has allowed him to pitch so well in the rotation since coming in after the Dallas Keuchel injury.
21st appearance for Brad, 9th as a starter. Starts off Bautista with a couple of strikes. And that's always a good thing because Bautista can put a lot of pitches on you. He leads the major leagues in pitches per plate appearance at 4.51 to start the day. Doesn't get a chase there. It's 1-2. Peacock leads all major league starters, minimum 50 innings, in strikeouts per 9. 13.27 Ks per 9 innings. And he gets the called third strike on the outside corner, says Carlos Torres. Bautista lingers at the plate. He is not happy at all.
Here was that slider we were just talking about. That's a pretty good pitch. It's right. It's borderline. And Brad Peacock ends up getting the call. But that's really the pitch that has propelled him to the numbers he's had right now. He's had the ability to throw that pitch kind of in the same spot, that down and away to right-handers. Hitters just haven't been able to square it up. And sample size now was big enough to say this isn't just a fluke with the strikeouts.
On the ground, slowly hit. Bregman gets a big hop, and he makes the play to get Russell Martin for out number 2.
All right, we're looking at it on our Super Mo, brought to you by Mattress Firm. You see the rotation on the ball. Great. Evan Gattis does a nice job of getting the glove well out in front.
Peacock making his 9th start, his 3rd since he and Stephanie welcomed in their first child, Colton Joseph. Brad has won both of his starts since taking a little time off for the birth of his son. Had 10 days in between starts, going against the A's both in Oakland and then back at home between the 19th and 29th of June. Won that 2nd start against Oakland. Overall, he's won 3 in a row. The 2 against the A's and then the game in Atlanta where he had 16 runs of run support.
Yeah, you got to like your chances when you get that kind of run support to win the ball game, to actually get the W.
One of those runs was scored by Peacock himself as he was pushed around the bases by George Springer. 1-0 to Josh Donaldson. Donaldson having himself a big series against the Astros. He is 4 for 8 with 6 walks. Coming in, had been in a 1 for 26 slump.
Yeah, George was basically on Brad's rear end, really from rounding second base. Brad had gone back to tag up on a ball off the wall.
There's a line drive into left field. Donaldson's going to feel better about things heading into the All-Star break the way he's going right now, as he's battled injuries, had a calf injury, kept him on the DL for a while, but he looks good in this series.
Yeah, he might not want the time off. He wants one of the few players in the league that just wants the first half to keep going. He already had the time off, but he's had a much better approach at the plate. The timing has been better, and we've seen him hit several balls hard in this, the previous 3 games and this at bat here in this series.
Justin Smoke, the batter, one of 2 Blue Jays heading to Miami for the All-Star game. Smoke was voted in by the fans as the starting first baseman for the American League. And then Roberto Osuna was added along with Chris Davinsky and others on Friday, when the American League and National League teams added players to their rosters. 1-0 pitch, high fly ball, right field, way up in the air, and George Springer waits for it. Smoke just got under that one, and the Toronto Blue Jays are out in the first. Hand in Toronto, scoreless through 1. When you look at the league leaders presented by Houston Methodist, it is remarkable the improvement from one year to the next.
You got to remember, Todd, that these aren't numbers. These are it's kind of the same cast of characters also. You know, a lot of these numbers in 2016 were obscured by the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season. They got off to a horrible start and then fought back. And these numbers right here are at the end of 2016, so they might even be lower than that in the first half.
It's been one of those seasons for the ages that only come around once in a while, at least to this point. Today is game number 89. The Astros will play 73 games after the All-Star break as Carlos Beltran takes the first pitch for a strike, and next one is down low. It's 1-1. And we talked about it in the open. This team, the 2017 Astros, will be one that all future Astros teams will be projected against because they put up incredible first half numbers that we might not see for a while.
And I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but you saw the numbers and the rankings of what happened in 2016. And so you knew the team was going to be better, but I'm not sure if you would have predicted that they would have been this good.
The combination of fewest strikeouts and most home runs and highest slugging percentage only happened a couple of times in the last 100 years. So A.J. Hinch's team has cut down on strikeouts, done a better job making contact, and yet added this incredible power surge this year. And it's really been 1 through 9.
Home runs have always been there. It's really the doubles that has been the more deciding factor as far as the power is concerned. They've always been able to drive the ball out of the ballpark, but the consistency in contact has made all the difference.
Beltran taking a called third strike. Happ's first strikeout of the day.
One of the few breaking balls Happ throws. He goes with the backdoor curveball. That's a pretty nice pitch. You just got to tip your cap on that one if you're Carlos Beltran.
Yuli Gurriel, the batter, he is one of the hotter Astros going into the break. Last 6 games batting .480 with 2 home runs and 10 runs batted in. On the season, he's up to .295. Just misses 2-0. Jay Happ pitched against the Astros last year in August. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run allowed. The Astros would win that game 4-1. He has had 5 outings against the Astros in his career, and 4 have been quality starts. Outside, 3-1. Opponents were on the fastball earlier in the year against Happ, and last year 306 was the batting average against the fastball. This year it's below 200. Yuli drives one to left field. That'll be all the way back to the wall and gone. Yuli Gurriel, home run number 11, puts the Astros on the board. They have the early lead, 1-0.
Yuli has such great plate coverage that the pitch out over the plate, he's got such long arms, and the way his swing is, that's really down the middle. See J. Happ making a pitch, looks like a breaking ball that he pulls onto the plate. Yuli hits this ball pretty well, 96.1 mile an hour out off the bat. Gets it just over the left field wall, so didn't hit it right dead on the screws, but hit it good enough to get it out of the Rogers Center here in left field.
Here's a bullet down the left field line. Alex Bregman bidding for extra bases. Steve Pearce will play it off the wall. Bregman into second base, and the Astros continue with their streak of doubles, as that streak with Alex Bregman hitting another double on this road trip. The Astros now have hit doubles in 46 consecutive games.
So Todd, if you notice that J. Happ spends a lot of time away from right-handed hitters, and what that allows these righties to do is get extended if he doesn't get it on the corner or away. Both these pitches leak back towards the middle of the plate. Gurriel and Bregman hit it hard.
Bregman has 7 doubles on this road trip. Playing in just the 6th game on this trip. Has 9 hits overall. 7 of them are doubles.
Yeah, his slugging percentage is not in home runs. It is in doubles.
Speaking of slugging, there have only been 2 home runs hit against J. Happ in his last 6 starts. Aaron Judge and Yuli Gurriel. It's pretty good company.
Well, Aaron Judge has gotten several pitchers in that's on his list.
Lapina looking good heading into the All-Star break, as it's 2-1. Checking back with home plate umpire Carlos Torres to make sure he was sure about that call.
Russell Martin does a nice job of presenting the ball to Carlos Torres.
Could be 3-0. Instead, it's 2-1. Now it's 3-1.
He gets that glove well out in front of him. We saw Evan Gattis do the same thing last inning against Jose Bautista. Get that glove out in front, present that ball so Carlos Torres can take a good long look at it.
Fouled away. Pretty good rip there by Marisnik. J. Happ's a guy that normally will be around the plate, at least in his last 5 starts. Prior to this season, walks have been a higher number for Happ, but this year he's got his lowest walk rate in his career.
Likes to throw the top of the zone, likes to throw to the arm side of the zone. And sometimes that ball works off the plate. Former Houston Astros fan might remember that he had trouble with that here in Houston also.
Marisnik wasn't sure about the 2-0 call. That one froze him on the inner half, and he goes down for the 2nd strikeout of the game for J. Happ.
Here Jay's working the outside corner again, but he pulls the ball back. You see Russell Martin kind of lean to his left and frame that pitch on the bottom of the zone, but that was a strike.
Here's George Springer. Infield hit his first time up. George hits the ball hard. Diving stop. Donaldson. The throw is high and gets away. In to score is Bregman. Springer stays at first. Donaldson did the tougher part of the ground ball by making the stop, but then his throw was high.
Completely extended. Almost caught this ball behind him, but I think he thought he had to rush a little bit more than he really did. You see the 1-step and dive for Donaldson, complete extension. and then just hurries the throw and airmails it over first base. That ball hit very hard by Springer. Donaldson with, there's always two parts of a play. It's the catch and the throw. Outstanding on the first part.
Altuve into right field. That'll send Batista back. He looks up. Gone. Jose Altuve, the All-Star second baseman, with a 2-run home run. And the Astros now lead 4-0.
We know Jose Altuve loves to jump on the first pitch, especially first pitch fastballs with a guy like Jay Happ out there who likes to throws about 75% fastballs. He jumped on it, drove the ball the opposite field. It's a two-seam fastball. Not a bad pitch, maybe on the plate a little bit too much, but Jose is so good. And when he's aggressive in the zone, my gosh, can he drive the ball to any part of the park.
Here's Carlos Correa. The Astros, after being limited to 1 run until the 9th inning of yesterday's game, out early with a 4 spot in the 2nd inning. Correa with a base hit off the wall his first time up.
Oh, that wasn't a fastball. That was a split finger fastball, which Jay will use as his changeup. Throws it down the middle. Altuve makes him pay.
Correa deep to left field. Back to back for the All-Star middle infield for the American League. Altuve, Correa, and it's 5-0.
Earlier we were talking about how Jay Happ likes to throw his fastball. For some reason, he's going off speed against these Astros hitters, and they are making him pay every time he puts it on the plate.
Jay Happ had allowed 1 home run in his last 5 starts. And in this game, he has allowed 3 home runs in 1 inning, including back-to-back for Altuve and Correa. They are ready for the All-Star game.
Looks like they're ready for home run derby. Here's slider. Doesn't get in there. You saw Russell Martin set up on the inside part of the plate. Didn't get there. Correa drops the head of the bat. Hits it right square on the screws. And this was a no-doubter from the time it came off the bat.
Gattis to the shortstop third base hole, cut off by Donaldson, and that'll end the inning. But the Astros put up a 5 spot, including 3 home runs. Gurriel, Altuve, Correa. American League All-Stars. Jose Altuve followed by Carlos Correa go back-to-back with home runs in the second inning. Altuve's 13th, Correa's 19th, combined 32 home runs from your middle infield.
Correa just didn't want Jose to have all the limelight here. He wanted to make sure that everyone knew that he was an all-star also.
And as always, they're chatting with each other before the inning. Correa and Altuve not far away from each other on the right side of the infield as we get ready for the bottom half of the second with Kendrys Morales at the plate. Correa with that RBI on the solo home run, matching George Springer now for the team lead. They both have 61. Morales 256, 16 home runs, 48 runs batted in. Tried to hold up, but he goes around. It's 1-1. 3 hits and 13 at bats against Brad Peacock. 2 of the 3 hits have been home runs. Hits one hard, but foul. It's 1-2. They ruled that ground ball that Donaldson speared. It was a bullet that he speared and laid full out for, and then threw the ball away. They ruled that an error. Springer allowed to reach on an error, so 4 of those 5 runs in the top half of the second inning are unearned as that inning was prolonged with the error.
I agree with it. I mean, he did the hard part was catching the ball. Then he had plenty of time to stand up. He rushed the throw and it airmailed first base, but you know, it was an extraordinary play to catch the ball, but the rest of it should have been pretty standard.
1-2 pitch called third strike. Morales knew it. Kendrys was heading back to the dugout as Brad Peacock picks up his second strikeout.
Brad's supposed to elevate the ball here, but hey, you know what? Down the middle sometimes works too. See Evan Gattis kind of standing up behind home plate. I told you the other day, the catcher's glove is just a suggestion.
Peacock got away with one at the end of the inning to Smoke. That Smoke got under and hit a towering fly ball for the final out, and did not hit his spot there. But
that was a hanging slider.
But he got away with the strikeout. There's Troy Tulowitzki. There's a strike. Well, if you want to try on the George Springer side to argue that after the game, you could say it wasn't ordinary effort to get to the ball. And part of giving an error is it has to be ordinary effort. But he did have time. He rushed more than he had to in making that throw to first. There's a swing and a miss. 0-2. Could have been.
He actually had plenty of time. And you saw him, he actually, when he got up, he didn't have his feet completely under him because he just simply didn't realize how much time he had.
It was going to be an error either way on Donaldson because Bregman scored with the overthrow. Even if it was ruled a hit, it would have been a hit and an error. But with it being ruled an error, it changes the line dramatically for Jay Happ.
And we'll see the extension, the one-step and dive to his left. And then you see him rush the throw. George had just gotten out of the box, really. I mean, he got to his feet in a hurry. And watch how he's not really balanced on that throw. You see the ball sail arm side on it.
Here's a ball in the right field. George drifts back, and now he's there to make the play. Tulowitzki flies out for out number 2.
Special Kroger family 4-packs are available for $60 on Sunday home games, including next Sunday, July 16th. For more information on Kroger Family Sundays, visit astros.com/Sundays or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
1 week from today, the Astros will be wrapping up their first post-All-Star break series with Game 3 against the Minnesota Twins. Steve Pearce, the batter, 2 outs, nobody on. Blue Jays wearing their red uniforms today. They have worn those on Sundays this season. Canada turning 150 years old on July 1st, Canada Day. So in honor of that, they have gone to the red jerseys. And today was a very popular Aaron Sanchez bobblehead giveaway. We saw people lined up early this morning to make sure they were one of the first ones in at the Rogers Center.
Yeah, I believe we got a full sellout today. They're very quiet right now with the Astros up 5-0, but they got their bobbleheads.
They were quiet early in the game too. Just kind of a laid back Sunday crowd for now. It's 1-2 on Steve Pearce. There is that Aaron Sanchez bobblehead. Sanchez pitching in this series and did not last very long. Got knocked out in the second inning. Pearce reaches out on the 1-2 pitch and just serves it into right center field. Astros had him shifted to the left side, and that's a base hit for Pearce.
Peacock making a pretty good pitch right here. Pearce well out in front. Astros with the shift on, so there's nobody playing second base. Talked about a lot of well hit balls right on the screws. That wasn't one of them. That was a little doinker right off the end of the bat.
Here's Kevin Pillar. He saved a run in the first inning with a nice catch just off the turf. Originally ruled a base hit for Marwin Gonzalez, but overturned. And Pillar with his first at bat fouls one down the left field line. Kevin 7 for his last 19. There was a time a little while ago when he was playing left field for the Blue Jays. And as the season progressed, they shifted him to center, and he's become one of the better defensive center fielders in the league.
Yeah, kind of like a highlight reel out there. He makes some spectacular catches.
Peacock ahead 0-2.
You know, he's a lot like George Springer. The body means absolutely nothing. It's all about catching the ball. And if you watch any of the sports shows, there's highlights of Pillar diving all over the stadium quite often.
Many here north of the border feel like Pillar deserves Gold Glove consideration, but Kevin Kiermaier has kind of locked that down the last couple of seasons in center field. 0-2 pitch is fouled out of play. Pillar with that average up to 256 with a 7 for his last 19. Opposing batters have put 12.2% of Peacock's pitches in play. That is the best in the major leagues. Mentioned Happ has a run prior to today of going 5 starts with only allowing 1 home run. Brad Peacock on June 4th at Globe Life Park allowed a home run. That's it this year. Ground ball towards third. Bregman to his left. Gloves. Altuve covers. They get the force on Pearce, and Peacock through 2 with a 5-0 lead. Brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. A little maple ice treat right here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
So I guess maple syrup and you freeze it. Makes maple ice.
Astros fans can try a little bit of everything. Little different food items up here than we'll see in most ballparks around the states. Here's Marwin Gonzalez. Marwin nearly had an RBI base hit his first time up. Kevin Pillar robbed him to end the first inning, and he takes a pitch outside of the zone, 1-0.
I think I'll keep my maple syrup on Belgian waffles.
1-0 is a strike. It's 1-1. We had a lot of those special delicacies brought up to us in the booth in yesterday's game. Julie also got to partake down in the stands. That was a full smorgasbord. 1-1 pitch high in the air, right field. Bautista waits for it. And he shades his eyes and puts it away. Bautista, even with the sunglasses, having trouble with that one. Kind of a hazy day, overcast a bit.
The sun seems to be peeking in and out of the clouds. But you'll see all the players in the field every once in a while kind of crane their neck up a little bit and just look and see where that sun is. So when they do have a fly ball, they know how to address it.
Carlos Beltran taking a called strike. Beltran looking for his first home run of the year as a right-hand hitter. He has 11 as a lefty. In fact, if you go back to the end of last season, all 13, his last 2 last year and his first 11 this year, have been left-handed. And he goes down swinging. Jay Happ needs 3 pitches. 3 strikeouts. He's gotten Beltran twice. Connect to Astros baseball all season with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. Customize the app for the Astros and get awesome stuff all season by subscribing to at-bat premium. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Download MLB.com at-bat today, the #1 app for live Astros baseball. Yuli Gurriel with the first of 3 home runs in the second inning, giving the Astros a 5 spot. Yuli's 11th on the season. He is now hitting .500 over his last 7 games with 3 home runs. There's a few Astros that aren't looking forward to missing 4 straight days, including Yuli. Has that average up to .298. Chase is up there, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, baseball's not real conducive to taking long periods of time off. 4 days is about the max somebody would want to take, especially hitters when you're talking about timing.
In the shallow center, now Pillar stays where he is. Gurriel flies out to center for the final out. 2.5 innings in. It's 5-0 Houston.
The third, and it is time to take a look at today's Chevy Stroh poll. Follow us on Twitter at Root Sports SW. Our pinned tweet is usually our poll. Who is your unsung pitching hero of the season's first half? Is it Mike Fiers, Brad Peacock, Michael Felice, or someone else? Please vote. We'll let you know who wins our Chevy Stroh poll later in the broadcast. Todd?
Good choices once again. The guy who's pitching today wouldn't be a bad choice, Brad Peacock. I would think from the start of spring training until the All-Star break, he has probably risen the most in the eyes of the Astros management and coaching staff with what he has done, trying to make the team out of spring training, and now he has become one of the most consistent starters.
Going into spring training, he wasn't on the team. You know, he was one of the main reasons why he was in camp was he was out of options. So if they tried to send him down, he'd have to go through waivers. They have a chance to lose him. He threw the ball well in spring training, so has earned his way onto the staff. I would actually, of those options, Brad would be my choice just because of how well he has pitched, regardless of how he got here.
When you lead the majors in the categories we've talked about, fewest home runs per innings, most strikeouts per innings, again, minimum 50 innings pitched. You're talking about a guy who has been as good as anybody without, he's not qualified to be at the top of these categories, but he's been as good as anybody over his 9 starts plus 11 relief appearances.
And the situation the Astros were in with their main rotation pieces going on the disabled list, Charlie Morton, Dallas Keuchel, for him to step in and do what he's done has been instrumental for this team.
You see the strikeouts as a reliever and then as a starter. As a starter, he's only behind in the percentage of strikeouts per hitter Chris Sale and Max Scherzer. But in the per 9, he is at the top of that list. There's a called strike. Jose Bautista, strikeout victim in the first. When you look back on this first half, and we've shown the overall team numbers, just ridiculous numbers that are hard to imagine. As much confidence as you could have had on this about this team coming in, the numbers are just astounding. But what stands out for you?
You know, I think the resiliency of the team, the injuries that they've had, and to be able to consistently win through those injuries.
Bautista tried to hold up, and he does.
You know, this team, we knew it had a deep minor league system, and we knew they had a good team last year. But from where they were in spring training to where they are now, I mean, everyone kind of looked at this team as having potential.
Ground ball, gloved nicely by Bregman to his left. He makes the play across for the second out.
Now you look at this team in a completely different light if you're anyone in the industry. I mean, you're looking at this team as arguably the best team in Major League Baseball.
To your point, these are the numbers since Dallas Keuchel did not make that start in Kansas City.
And you see the pitching numbers are a little bit elevated, but to have a record over 500 without your ace, you know, at one point, if you include Colin McHugh, 80% of this rotation was on the disabled list. Mm-hmm. At least going into spring training. So, you know, they've done a nice job. And the offense has just been, I mean, there's not enough adjectives to describe how good this offense has been.
Yeah, it's on pace for well over 900 runs scored, which, as we showed you in yesterday's telecast, would be the first time since the 2009 Yankees. And also, they're on a pace to score the most runs of any team since the 07 Yankees. And really, when you talk about teams that average 5 runs per game, which is a little bit over 800 runs, it would be 810 runs for a 162 game schedule. Teams that average over 5 runs a game, there's only 4 of them in the last 5 years. Toronto's 2015 team being one of them. They have the most runs scored in the last 5 years with 891. So the Astros are doing things that we haven't seen in a decade.
We talked about it yesterday about how a team that scores 800 runs is a very good offensive team. Now you push that up well over 900, which is what they're on pace for now. I mean, these are kind of historic type numbers, and it's been so fun to watch. But expectations are high on this Houston Astros team now.
1-2 pitch to Russell Martin. He lays off. It's 2-2. Brad Peacock has allowed a couple of singles in this game. No Blue Jay has yet reached second base. Single to Josh Donaldson in the first, single to Steve Pearce in the second, both coming with 2 outs. Off the end of the bat and into the Astros dugout. Towards the hole and into left field. But just like the first and second inning, the Blue Jays pick up a single with 2 outs in the third.
Supposed to be a fastball down and away. He misses arm side. Actually gets in on Russell Martin, but strong enough to fight it off through the left side for a single. You know, Brad made a mechanical adjustment before last season. He used to have his glove. He would separate his hands and put his glove way up over his head and just had a tough time with consistency of release point. We got that glove down around his shoulder height now, but he still on occasion does miss, like all pitchers, does miss his spot. But with him turning his back the way he does, that's the issue that he has. It's no longer elevation. He's pretty good with elevation. It's east and west on occasion. He kind of loses that release point and misses with pretty big spots.
Today it seems like he has missed some spots and gotten away with some pitches as he misses to Donaldson. It's 2-0.
I've been lucky enough to see a couple perfect games. And when someone throws a perfect game, they're not perfect. In reality, they still make mistakes. The mistakes just aren't getting hit.
2-0 pitch is a rocket to left field, and that is going to be off the wall. Gonzalez will try and get it back in quickly. He throws to second, and Donaldson is safe at second base. To third goes Martin. Now Altuve tried to make a diving tag. And the Blue Jays have runners on second and third. For now, Altuve may want A.J. Hinch to look at this. In fact, A.J. is going to ask them, we may have our third overturned play of this game already.
Altuve wasn't 2 steps or 3 steps off the bag, and he was already telling A.J. to take a look at this. Josh Donaldson hits this ball right dead on the screws.
Altuve made the tag for sure. Is his hand on the bag? No. We might have our third overturned play of this game.
Pretty nice play on both sides. Marwin playing this ball well off the chain link fence in left field and making a nice strong throw to second base. Altuve knowing there's going to be a play with the snap tag on Donaldson sliding into second.
Astros are walking off the field, at least the infield is. The outfielders are lingering. The infield's pretty convinced that Altuve made the tag ahead of the slide by Donaldson. We've already had 2 plays overturned. A Marwin Gonzalez single that was overturned to a catch by Pilar. And George Springer on the first play of the game was ruled out. That was overturned to a base hit. And now Altuve thinks they may have enough evidence to get Donaldson. Altuve's still hanging out there on the infield. Everybody else on the infield is in the dugout or on the rail by the dugout.
Yeah, the left fielder and center fielder are both at second base.
He's out. Marwin Gonzalez to Jose Altuve. They get Donaldson trying to stretch a single into a double, and that's how the third inning ends. Astros retain the Bay Park as they lead 5-0 over Toronto in the 4th inning. When they return home after the All-Star break, those fans are going to have a chance possibly to enjoy baseball on tap Friday night. Enjoy beer tastings, music, games, and a chance to win a Budweiser Brewery Tour. The first 500 attendees will receive an exclusive Astros pint glass. Get your tickets now at astros.com/baseball on tap. Underway in the 4th inning. The number of available craft beers is really impressive for that baseball on tap. If you go to astros.com, you will see the list. And it's going to be a fun night. Baseball and your favorite craft beer selections. And that'll all start at 5 o'clock with live music and games and all kinds of fun stuff going on a big and bright Friday night. Alex Bregman leads off. Bregman doubled his first time up, continues to stay on that double train as Alex has 7 doubles in 20 at-bats on this trip. Overall 9 for 20. Jay Happ falls behind Bregman 3-1. 46 straight games with a double for the Astros. Last time that was accomplished was a 2001-2002 Tampa Bay Devil Rays. They continue their streak from one season to the next, and Bregman draws a leadoff walk. Julia?
Hey guys, let's flash back to some of Jake Marisnick's best moments this first half. He was on fire when the team went to Miami, the team that traded him to Houston. Hit 2 home runs in that game on May 16th. Hit the first one pretty good, but the second one, well, no, it was the first one. Yeah, it was the first one. That clean swing from him crushed that home run. What did we call it? The display?
Home run structure.
Home run structure. Just, you know, what I remember about that night was how much fun they were having with the fact that these guys were hitting that structure, especially with Jake, who they love to pick on a little bit anyway. They said he was aiming for a flamingo or something, or a parrot, whatever was on there. He was using it as target practice that night. Good times. The Astros were playing really well on the road at that time.
Alex picks up a steal going in head first. I think a home run sculpture. I said structure. Sculpture.
Yeah, I think it was hit 3 times that game, right? Didn't Altuve hit it also?
Altuve hit it too. Yeah, they had a blast with that day. Just looking out there, seeing what parts of it they thought they could hit. That was a fun trip.
Altuve cheering for Alex Bregman with that stolen base. We have had 3 plays overturned today already. John Gibbons may take an extra minute to look at this. Well, we're going to see a home run derby at Marlins Park. We'll see if anybody hits tomorrow. See if anybody hits that home run sculpture as many times as Jake Marisnick did in one game.
As tightly wound as those home run derby baseballs are, it's probably going to be a few going over that structure, over the artwork there in left center field.
Jake making sure he knows the count. And it's 1-1. Stolen base number 8 on the season for Alex Bregman. I think Carlos Torres may have just corrected the count. It might be 0-2. The scoreboard reads 1-1. For sure, there's 2 strikes now on the foul ball. Marisnick struck out his first time up. 4 home runs, 9 RBIs his last 16 games. That Miami series, as we reflect back on the first half, if you will, even though this is game number 89, that Miami series was impressive for a lot of reasons. The fact that they flew in after a Sunday night game against the Yankees and still did their thing against the Marlins, sweeping that series. That pitch is inside to Jake.
Those 2 swings that he put on the ball to hit that structure there in left center field, those might be 2 of the best swings I've seen him take, especially the first one. But he hit a fastball and a slider in the same place in the park.
He has not hit wall scrapers this year. He has hit some long distance home runs.
Well, some people might not know. Jake is a big dude. I mean, he's not 5'10". You know, he's 6'4", 6'5", very athletic. What we've seen this year is he's got some real juice in that bat too.
On the ground, Donaldson is there. Bregman has to scurry back to second. Josh makes the throw across to retire Marisnick for the first out in the fourth. And Jake's been rewarded with more playing time. Month of June and July, he has seen many more starts than he did in April and May.
And rightly so. AJ told us just yesterday that he wants to reward his bench players so that when they do play well, that they don't come back and sit on the bench, that they get to play some days in a row, and he has more than earned more playing time.
Today's bench includes Brian McCann, Norio Oki, and Josh Reddick as George Springer fouls went out of play. George has had an interesting day with Josh Donaldson. Hit a chopper down the third baseline that Donaldson barehanded and made the play. Initially ruled an out, but George beat the throw for an infield hit. And then he hit an absolute seed on one hop that Donaldson made an incredible stop on, but then got up and threw the ball away. That was ruled an error. So George testing Donaldson twice, officially 1 for 2. Inside to Springer, it's 1-1. Saw yesterday in our Stro poll that George Springer was voted by more than 80% of our viewers as the first half MVP for the Houston Astros. And with candidates like Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa, that is quite an accomplishment. '61 runs batted in, tied for the team lead. 27 home runs, second in baseball to only Aaron Judge. More home runs as a leadoff hitter than anybody in Major League Baseball history leading into the All-Star break. And he's done it all with his longest drought, 19 homerless games, matched his longest drought of his career. So he did it all early the first few weeks and a lot late.
He has been so fun to watch, whether it's defensively diving all over everywhere or offensively hitting home runs.
In a hitter's count here, 3-1, runner in scoring position. And it's 3-2.
J-Hap pulled the string on him right here. You see him reach out in front. That pitch is down. That is one place that you can go to get George. Problem is that hole isn't very big to where he swings at it, or if he doesn't, because if you elevate the ball, he'll take you right field in a heartbeat.
Hap's last 5 starts, he has thrown the fastball 78.2% of the time. That has not been the case today. 3-2 is another foul ball. This time he gets a piece of it. But Hap has gone a lot more off speed to the Astros than we have seen in his last 5 starts. Astros hit the fastball as well as anybody in baseball.
We can see J-Hap really wants to try and get George Springer out away. That one pitch early in the count inside, try to stand him up to expand away.
On the ground to short, Bregman will cross over to third. Tulowitzki makes the throw to retire Springer. Out number 2 in the inning. That's a play had there been no outs when Springer hit that ground ball. Tulowitzki may have tried to get the runner going to third.
That ball rattled in his glove because right as he was receiving the ball, he looked up to see where Bregman was. So he got kind of lucky right there that ball didn't glance off his glove and become an error.
Jose Altuve hitting a home run in his last at bat. His 13th hit on this road trip, and he did not play in yesterday's game. 13 hits in 5 starts on this trip. 4 3-hit games plus today, starting out with a home run and 2 at bats. The thing that's nice about Altuve and his run here of 3-hit games is he usually gets, with this offense, 5 at bats or more.
Right.
He gets some opportunities. Inside, it's 1-1. Astros scoring 26 runs in their 2-game sweep in Atlanta, and in their lone win here in Toronto, scoring a dozen. Happ ahead of the count, 1-2. Happ has thrown 71 pitches in this game as we play the 4th. His average is right around the major league average, 16.7 pitches per inning.
Jose not happy with himself after that swing. That was a pitch that he thought he should have maybe laid off of, a fastball well up and out over the plate.
They want to go up again, and this one is about shoulder or neck high to Altuve. It's 2-2. Happ has gone at least 6 innings in his last 5 starts. In those 5 starts combined where he's gone at least 6 innings, he has allowed a total of 7 runs in 5 starts. Today, although 4 of them are unearned, he's allowed 5 through 3 2/3. Outside, Altuve has the count full.
This has been a good at-bat for Jose. He's fouled off some tough pitches. There's been a pitch or 2 in there he thought he should have hit. But this is pretty a standard at-bat for Jose Altuve. He goes deep in the count.
Ball 4. Altuve, who is 7th in the American League and toughest to fan, toughest to strike out, right behind his teammate Yuli Gurriel in that category, draws an extended at-bat walk.
Yeah, you know, Jose gets by the first pitch or 2. He very well may see 10. A lot of times he likes to swing at the first pitch, but there are several at-bats that he gets pretty deep in the count.
3 walks issued by Happ. That matches his season high. He's done it a couple of other times. His first 2 starts back from injury, he walked 3 against the Reds and 3 against the A's. Now he faces Carlos Correa, who hit a home run his last time up. Correa and Altuve going back-to-back. This time Correa bidding for a hit, and he has an infield hit. Diving stop made. Good play to keep it on the infield by Goins, but Correa with an RBI hit. He now takes over the team lead in RBIs, and the Astros lead 6-0.
Another hit to the opposite field for Carlos Correa with runners in scoring position. This is becoming pretty standard for Carlos. Gets a pitch out over the plate, sees that big hole on the right side, and almost looks like he's just trying to hit a fungo into right field. Just a ground ball. Goins keeps it on the infield, but there's no play at first base. Carlos Correa with yet another RBI.
3 for 3 afternoon for Correa. He and Jose Altuve back-to-back home runs in the second, and now a walk with 2 outs to Altuve and an RBI infield hit by Correa, scoring Alex Bregman. Bregman scores his 2nd run of the game. And the Astros have 6 with Evan Gattis batting. 6 is the most runs allowed by Happ this season in his 11th start. Astros, with just the 2 runs in yesterday's game, saw their run scoring average dip down on the road to below 6.9. They are still on a pace that is the best since the 30s Yankees teams. Pitches outside, 3-0.
Former Astro Lucas Harrell up in the bullpen for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Gattis has had the green light a few times this year on 3-0, but has not picked up a base hit this year on a 3-0 count. He is 0 for 4. That one was not a hitter's 3-0 pitch, and he took it for a strike on the corner. 3-1.
I don't think Big Evan was real happy with that strike call.
Evan has a 10-game hitting streak going. 0 for 1 today with a walk. Popped in the air, foul, long run, smoke, foul territory, and Justin won't get there. The count goes full. Evan thought he had drawn a walk on the 3-0 pitch, which would have had the bases loaded for the Astros, with Marwin Gonzalez coming to the plate. Marwin already with a grand slam this year. He hit the first of 3 for the Astros. See, pitch 4, that would have been the potential ball 4 that Gattis thought was just off.
It's not going to extend his hitting streak drawing a walk anyways.
Or not going to run. With Altuve on second, a base hit will. In the air to center field, Pilar is there, just to his left. And the Astros are out in the 4th. But they add a run to their lead on the RBI by Carlos Correa at 6-0. .com. Astros fans roaming around outside of the Rogers Center before the game. Roof has been open for 3 of the 4 games in this series between the Blue Jays and the Astros. Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, the roof has been open. Just Friday night, we had the roof closed with the possibility of showers. Beautiful stadium and a fan base that is drawing more fans per game than anybody else in the American League this year.
Yeah, these people up here love their Blue Jays, and when they're a good team, which they were supposed to be this season, they were last season, these people will come out in droves to support them.
So on we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning with Justin Smoke leading things off. Smoke takes a pitch inside for a ball, 1-0. Justin hit a high towering fly ball that he just got under his first time up, caught by George Springer in right.
That was one of those mistakes by Brad Peacock that wasn't hit, a hanging slider.
And Brad behind in the count, 2-0. Brad with a good pitch count through 3, averaging 15 pitches per inning. He's at 47 now with a 2-0 count to Smoke. Foul tip, it's 2-1. It'll be Smoke, Kendrys Morales, and Troy Tulowitzki. When you look at this second half of the season, when the Astros come out of the All-Star break, I think the big storyline is going to be what's going to happen leading in to the trade deadline at the end of July. You've seen what this team has done in the first half. What are your thoughts?
I think Jeff Luhnow is beating the bushes right now, trying to cover every possible option. My opinion, I think they might need another pitcher in the rotation. I personally would like them to go to the top of the trade market list for one of the big right-handed arms, maybe even another reliever, because you're not looking at the regular season now. Now you're looking at matchups in the postseason.
Yep.
What would they look like against the Boston Red Sox? What would they look like against the Cleveland Indians?
Yeah, it will be a very intriguing 2.5 weeks coming out of the All-Star break. The deadline will be following the first game of a homestand after a 3-city trip that takes them to Baltimore, Philadelphia, and Detroit. They start out coming out of the All-Star break with a homestand. As Kendrys Morales lost one into left, Marwin Gonzalez camps under it for out number 1. After Justin Smoke leadoff walk, Morales retired for the first out in the 4th.
Well, what about you? What would you like the Astros to acquire?
Well, I'm with you because you see what we're talking about right now in the AL playoff picture. The Red Sox and the Indians and the Astros currently the division leaders. And when you try and match up your starting rotation, and you're assuming Dallas Keuchel is going to be back to where he was before the injury, and we hope that is the case, but you still have some arms out there in Boston and Cleveland are tough to match up with. And I think adding another piece to that puzzle could allow the Astros offense to do their thing. There are a lot of fans who would like to see the Astros, as the season has gone along and played better, not pull a trigger. But I think this is one of those special offenses that you will not see very often, and you have to do everything you can to give them the best chance to win a World Series.
Well, expectations on this team now are very, very high. Going into the season, yeah, you thought this team was going to be good, that they were going to be competitive, had a chance to win the division. That's not the case anymore. Now it's almost, for Astros fans, it's almost World Series or bust. So that's why, personally, I want them to see, this is the time to go for it. It's not the time to think about 2018. 2017 has become a special year.
It's become one of those years, as it's 1-2 to Troy Tulowitzki, that you may not see. I know Correa is young, and Springer, and all these guys are young, but for everything to come together like it has this first half does not happen often.
Well, in 2016, we saw it happen to the Chicago Cubs.
Yep.
They had a whole bunch of young players. Everything fell into place, and they end a historic streak, 108 years without a World Series championship. So it's not like it's unprecedented.
And to prove that it's not easy to do every year, we're seeing the Cubs struggling today and struggling on the season to play 500 baseball.
Yeah, John Lester gave up a 10 spot in the first inning today. But, yeah, it's been a struggle for the Cubs, hovering right around 500, being a very mediocre team.
2-2 the count to Tulowitzki. Runner on, 1 out. We're in the bottom half of the 4th, and now the count runs full. In the Central, the surprise leaders are the Milwaukee Brewers. 4.5 game lead over the Cubs. The Cubs, barring a big comeback today, will head into the All-Star break 2 games below 500.
Which is crazy. I mean, they are so talented. It's basically the same cast of characters as last year, except they don't have Aroldis Chapman. They haven't needed Aroldis Chapman because they've been getting beat up. This wasn't a great offensive team last year. It was a good offensive team. Pitching was ridiculous, and that's where they really took big strides forward 2016. That's also where they've had their issues here in 2017.
That is a close pitch. Gattis wanted it. Peacock wanted it. Tulowitzki held up his swing and draws a walk. I don't know how you take that pitch on a 3-2 count.
Yeah, it looks like Carlos Torres missed it behind the dish, but yeah, I don't know what Tulo was looking at. That was a pretty nice slider right on the outside corner down and away from Peacock.
Here's Steve Pearce, singled into right his first time up. Mentioned this Toronto Blue Jays team has hit into more double plays than anybody in the American League. Astros could use one here. Ground ball foul. Pearce with a single into right his first time up. Peacock's allowed 4 hits. He has walked 2, both coming in this inning. Astros did push Brad Peacock in his last start, where he was running the bases and batted 4 times, got through 6 innings on a warm, muggy night in Atlanta. Today they have a full rested bullpen that they know will have the next 4 days off, so the normal leash on Brad might be a little shorter today. We'll see as we play through the 5th inning, but he needs to work through the 4th, currently just at 61 pitches.
Yeah, it's all hands on deck down there in the bullpen, except for maybe Chris Davinsky.
1-1 pitch misses, and all of a sudden the Blue Jays are doing what the A's did to Brad Peacock a couple of starts ago and laying off that slider.
Well, we talked about it in game 1, how this is one of the teams in the American League that will actually work a pitching staff, that they're not up there just free swinging. They're trying to get the pitcher to make the mistake.
There's a line drive just foul down the left field line. Pearce about a foot or 2 away from an RBI extra base hit.
Yeah, this was close. Pearce got a pitch on the inside part of the plate. Did a nice job of not just getting the barrel way out and hooking this ball foul just a few feet. See that ball not hooking a whole lot. You can see clearly foul, but at least enough to give A.J. Hinch a chance to catch his breath.
It has not been a big strikeout day for Peacock, just 2 strikeouts. And none since the 2nd inning on the first out. Misses outside, 3-2. Well, Brad's already walked 2 in this inning. Needs to make a pitch here, leading 6-0.
It's making me starting to wiggle in my chair.
Way outside and low, ball 4. Peacock has walked the bases loaded. And there's 1 out. That'll draw a visit from the pitching coach, Brent Strom.
Brent's going out there just to first make sure he's okay. Let Brad take a deep breath here and just make sure that, you know, his mind is in the right place to focus on executing the pitch. Don't worry about the situation, the runners on base. Just go pitch to pitch here and make your pitch. Put the ball where you need to put it.
We mentioned that Oakland start where the A's were laying off the slider. Brad walked 6 in that start. That matched his career high. He also had a couple of starts in June where he walked 4. Today he has walked 3, all in this inning. Now will face Kevin Pillar.
That game against Oakland that he walked 6, that was after the 10-day break when him and his wife became new parents. Young Colton.
Pillar grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up, and the first pitch misses, 1-0. Two and 0. Smoke, Tulowitzki, Pearce, your 3 base runners. 3 walks issued in the inning. There's a strike.
Well, it shows what I know. Chris Davinsky just got up in the Astros bullpen.
The All-Star Devo had a tough outing yesterday. He wouldn't love to turn that around today.
And the reason I thought he might have the day off is just for that reason, that he does have a chance pitching on Tuesday when nobody else on the staff will.
High pop-up on the infield. Infield fly rule should be invoked. Nobody calling it. Now they finally do as Correa makes the play. That is out number 2. Pilar now 0 for 7 on the season with the bases loaded. And he had a 2-0 count to work with. And Peacock fought back.
Now Brad has the chance to get out of it with no more damage. Got that big second out. Now he's got to bear down and still execute the pitch. Let his defense help him.
Here's Ryan Goins, who grounded out his first time up. I mentioned Pilar now 0 for 7 with the bases loaded. Goins is quite the opposite. He is 7 for 9 on the season with the bases loaded. Including 4 for 5 with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Peacock trying to get Goins here. With 2 outs, a 1 pitch is a called strike, and Peacock ahead 0-2, and Gattis may have been crossed up.
Yeah, that was definitely a cross up. You see Evan Gattis run back out there. Evan was looking for a breaking ball. Look at him snap at this ball. Ends up being a nice pitch on the inside corner. If Evan doesn't catch that one, he's going to wear that one right in his chops.
Well, Peacock 1 pitch away from getting through this 4th.
It is a bad feeling for catchers.
I saw Brian McCann go on the 7-day concussion list after a cross up in New York. 0-2 pitches popped up. Astros should be out of the inning. Yuli Gurriel calls, squeezes, and the Astros work out of a bases loaded 1-out situation and lead 6-0 at the end of 4.
Best games from the first half of the season. One was certainly May 2nd. The Rangers were in town. The Astros come back to beat them in dramatic fashion. A couple of home runs. I actually took a trip up to the train that night. They were down by 5 at that point. And then the Astros got it going. Jose Altuve saw him homer. Marwin would homer later. And then Marwin would homer a second time in that game. That was the go-ahead grand slam. They eventually won 8-7. It took the first 3 games of that 4-game series against the Texas Rangers. That was a big night for this club. Big night for Marwin, obviously, and he's been swinging it just as well as he has since that time of the season. But what a fun night for me too, guys. I had a blast up there in that train. If you could see it by my face told the whole story. But we had a great time that night. That was the rally train ride.
So the Astros have hit a home run while you were on the train and inside the scoreboard this year.
That's right. And after I ate the lobster corn dog, and so give me some more of those.
And Julia, you know that the one point of the season which most Astros fans point to as a turning point, as Marwin Gonzalez takes a pitch outside of the zone, was that game in Seattle. They were down 5 runs, 5-0, in danger of falling below 500 for the first time, and it would have been the only time all year, as it turns out. And then you ate the grasshopper.
Oh, I remember. I can't believe I did that. I did it twice.
Because a lot of people are just saying that the grasshopper chopper that day, that rally grasshopper turned the season around. I'm just saying.
I like to think it was the lobster. Lobster corn dog.
Lobster corn dog did well too.
So you tasted better.
You can go to that one. We do head back to Seattle shortly, but you can go with the lobster corn dog. I like that. 2-1 to Marwin Gonzalez.
New pitcher for the Blue Jays, 32-year-old former Astro Lucas Harrell.
How about that? Lucas Harrell with the Blue Jays this year. Working out of their pen. Made 9 starts last year, 5 for Atlanta, 4 with the Rangers. And Marwin sends one past the mound, but they had him played well as Troy Tulowitzki makes the play for out number 1 in the 5th. Lucas pitched with the Astros part of the 2011 season. Made 32 starts in 2012, 22 starts in 13, 14 out of the bullpen. And then 3 more starts in 2014. The year after that, he played in the Korean Professional Baseball League, and now back in the big leagues last year and this year. 2012 led the Astros in wins and innings pitched as Carlos Beltran fouls one away, batting left-handed for the first time today. Carlos was 0 for 2 against Jay Happ. Inside for a ball. It's 2-1. Well, a couple of former Astros pitching against Houston today. Jay Happ started, lasted 4 innings, and now Lucas Harrell. Beltran fouls one away. That missed inside, I guess. That was pretty close. Brad Peacock missed on a close pitch in the previous half inning.
Yeah, Lucas Harrell thought this was a strike also, walking off the mound.
Beltran stays alive at 3-2. Harrell turned 32 on June 2nd. And ball 4. So a 1-out walk issued to Carlos Beltran.
2017 Coca-Cola Astros Buddies memberships are on sale now for only $25. Kids up to 12 years old get a voucher for 4 tickets to a select Astros game. Priority access to kids running the bases, player autograph sessions, and more. Visit astros.com/buddies to get your Buddies membership for your child today.
Line drive into right center field off the bat of Yuli Gurriel all the way to the wall. Beltran digging for third. He will be held up. Throw comes back in from the outfield. Gurriel with a double. And he has 2 extra base hits on the day.
Looked like a 4-seam fastball from Lucas Harrell. He usually throws mostly 2 seams. He does mix a 4-seam in there every once in a while. That pitch elevated out over the plate just a little bit. Yuli puts a nice pass on the ball. Hits it all the way to the wall in right center field. Astros got something working against former Astro Lucas Harrell.
Toronto will bring the infield in. Alex Bregman at the plate. Alex has a double, a walk, a stolen base, couple of runs scored. Now a chance to drive in a run. Pitch upstairs to Bregman, 1-0. Alex with 7 doubles on this road trip and has 9 hits and 20 at bats. That's a strike. It's 1-1. One and 2 the count. Beltran and Gurriel the base runners. Astros scoring 5 runs in the second, another run in the fourth, looking to add more here in the fifth. Inside nearly clips Bregman. It's 2-2. Harold, a right-hand hitter, is almost exclusively fastball slider. He'll mix in a curve or change, but more to lefty hitters than righties. There is a fastball, and Bregman gets called out on strike. Second out of the inning. Bregman down for the first time today.
Alex Bregman looking for a slider right here. Takes the fastball on the corner. The previous pitch was a fastball up and in. So Alex, after getting 2 called strikes on the outside corner earlier in that bat, was looking for it again and got frozen with the fastball.
Here's Jake Marisnick. Takes one inside for a ball, 1-0. Two-0 the count. Take a strikeout and a ground out. On the ground towards short, Tulowitzki makes the play for the final out of the fifth. So the Astros strand 2. We're halfway through. It's 6-0. Sports is presented by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Final game of 4 between the Blue Jays and the Astros. Final game leading into the All-Star break. The Blue Jays trailing 6-0. Astros fans enjoying a little ice cream and baseball on this Sunday afternoon. And Jose Bautista with a shift on. Altuve a long way to go. And Jose closes ground. How about the amount of space he covered to retire Bautista for the first out of the inning?
A.J. Hinch had the shift on, so Jose Altuve was actually on the left side of the infield with Bautista, who pulls the ball like crazy, especially on the ground. You can see how far he's basically playing shortstop. Jose hits his ball right off the end of the bat. Jose Bautista, that is. Jose Altuve makes that long trek to pick up the ball. Nice transfer throw to first base.
That'll get your UZR numbers up. This defensive zone rating, ultimate zone rating. That was a huge amount of ground to cover. I'm not sure many second basemen make that play. Here's a pitch inside for a strike to Russell Martin.
Well, Bautista really didn't even mean to hit it over there. It was right off the end of the bat. It was kind of a squibber.
Called strike 0-2. Peacock struggled with his command in the last inning, walking 3 of the first 4 batters he faced. Then he fell behind Kevin Pillar 2-0 with the bases loaded and threw a couple of quality strikes, inducing a pop-up, and then he got Ryan Goins to pop up to end the inning.
Yeah, that pitch to Pillar was really the difference in the inning. That was the turning point. That was a pitch that Pillar should have hit. That was kind of bell tied down the middle, but got underneath it for the infield fly rule.
And a swing and a miss. Peacock picks up his first strikeout since the second inning and his 3rd overall in the game. 2 outs.
Russell Martin's actually hit a couple balls pretty hard today. But Brad Peacock did a nice job of expanding the zone out away from Russell Martin, where he couldn't get anything on it. Looking for the fastball, commits early to the breaking ball and missed by quite a ways on that slider.
Peacock picks up about 50% of his strikeouts with that slider. Donaldson misses, or Peacock misses to Donaldson, 1-0.
That last pitch we were just talking about to Russell Martin, you can see the spin on the breaking ball, and this ball is well off the plate, missed by 4 or 5 inches off the end of the bat. You can see the disgust in Russell Martin's face for offering it that ball.
Here's Josh Donaldson. He's having himself quite a series. 6 for 10 with 6 walks. He is 2 for 2 today. He was thrown out trying to stretch a single into a double his last time up. I think if you ask the Astros coming into this series between Donaldson and Smoke, who scares you more, you would say the all-star first baseman Smoke, but it's kind of flipped in this series with Donaldson doing damage, and the Astros have done a pretty good job against Smoke.
Yeah, and he's not just getting good results. He's hitting the ball extremely hard so far in these 4 games.
And Peacock careful in this at bat, down in the count 3-1. There is a 6-run lead, so as hot as Donaldson is, you still don't want to see Peacock issue a walk here. You'd like to see him challenge him at 3-1. There's a strike. It is 3-2.
He did challenge him, just not with the fastball.
Challenge him with a
slider.
Strike.
Seems like he has as much command with that pitch, sometimes more than the fastball.
Stays 3-2. Brad Peacock making his 9th start of the season. He already has a career high with 6 wins. And that one was yanked outside, ball 4. So Donaldson on for yet another time in this series. That's now 7 walks and 6 hits. He's been on base 13 times in this 4-game series. Now Peacock will deal with the aforementioned Justin Smoke, who is 0 for 1 with a walk. That's 4 walks issued by Brad, all in the last 2 innings. One and 0 Smoke. There's a strike. It's 2-1. Smoke will be part of that American League infield for the All-Star game, along with Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa. Fastball, swing and a miss. It's 2-2. Foul tip caught by Gattis. That is a strikeout for Peacock. His 4th strikeout of the game, 2 in the 5th, and he leaves 1 stranded. We are through 5, and the Astros lead 6-0.
Over the Blue Jays, and we are wrapping up the first half of the season. AJ Hinch held a meeting with his team earlier this week just to discuss some things over the break and talk about how well they've done. Well, Jim Crane wanted to hold another team meeting. He was in Toronto yesterday, and he actually presented to the 6 All-Stars a gift in front of the entire team. He wanted to thank everyone for the work that they've done, also wanted to encourage them and tell them to keep it up.
George Springer keeping it up with a base hit to center field. George is listening to the owner as he gets a base hit to start the 6th inning. He's been on base 3 times, a couple of hits, and he also reached on an error. Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, George Springer will all be in the American League starting lineup. It will be interesting to see where, and again, Brad Mills is going to manage the American League All-Star game, or also he's going to manage for the American League in the All-Star game, and he was a former Astros manager, of course.
Yes.
Where he places the Springer, Altuve, Correa combination. I mean, you could make a case to put them in the top 3. I'm not sure if that looks good when you have all 3 Astros in the very first inning of a game, but you would think that those guys would be somewhere in the top 4 or 5 hitters.
Well, when you're talking about the most prolific offense in Major League Baseball, and these guys being big reason why, maybe that does happen. But Brad Mills standing in for Tito Francona, whose health isn't the best right now.
We hope the best for Terry Francona, whose dad Tito, that's kind of assumed his nickname now is Tito Francona. And Brad Mills, the rest of the Cleveland staff will be there, along with Tampa Bay Rays manager Kevin Cash, who used to be on the Indian staff. But I could see, how about Springer, Altuve, Judge, Correa? That's not a bad first 4.
let Correa protect Judge.
Right.
You know, I think Joe Girardi would take that in New York.
You mentioned Smoke, Altuve, Correa on the infield. The third baseman is Jose Ramirez. The catcher from Jose from the Cleveland Indians. The catcher is the Royal Salvador Perez. The aforementioned Aaron Judge, and the other outfielder is Mookie Betts, replacing Mike Trout, who can't play due to injury. Line drive for Altuve, base hit to left, and the All-Stars are keeping it up. Springer and Altuve with back-to-back hits.
That's 2 balls hit pretty hard on Lucas Harrell this inning. Both George Springer and Jose Altuve getting fastballs. But both these guys played behind Lucas, so have a good idea what he's going to throw. He's mostly 2-seam fastball slider. Does pitch to a lot of contact, not a whole lot of strikeouts. So he's looking for a ground ball.
Carlos Correa already with 3 hits in this game. Single off the wall in right. Solo home run. And an infield hit on the right side for another RBI. Carlos up to 62 runs batted in.
Carlos wanting to wear that championship belt again.
Astros scored 5 in the second, capped off with Correa's 19th home run. Now the count's 1-1. Did get a tweet from Mr. Marcus asking how many runs the Astros need today to go into the All-Star break, averaging 7 runs per game on the road for the season. They only had 2 runs yesterday, so that hurt their average. They're below 6.9 now, but they would need to score 13 runs today to average 7 on the season, coming in at 6.86. Still the best in a long time in the major leagues. If they keep that up for an entire season, they will be compared to Yankees teams from 75 years ago. Or excuse me, 85 years ago in the 30s. 2-1 the count to Correa. Now it's 2-2. Lucas Harrell came on in the 5th inning. Allowed a walk and a double, but worked through that, and now back-to-back base hits to start the 6th. Fouled away. So here are your all-time leaders in runs per game on the road. The 1939 Yankees lead the way, followed by the 30 Yankees, the 36 Yankees. This is not just an Astros.
It's like the whole decade of the 30s.
Right? It's all the 30s Yankees. And then the Astros currently.
Then the blue and orange right in the middle.
That number could go up today with a 6th spot so far as they bat in the 6th inning. Correa takes outside his 3-2. Harrell's a guy that usually has been a starter throughout his career. Coming out of the bullpen, pitching in his 2nd game with the Blue Jays.
He made 4 starts for AAA Buffalo. Threw the ball pretty well. 21 innings, 5 earned runs. That's a 2.11 ERA.
Correa chases and goes down swinging. That's the first time Carlos has been retired today. And the 2nd strikeout for Lucas Harrell.
Correa guessing fastball, gets the slider. You see the pitch well off the plate, away in the disgust for swinging at that pitch from Carlos Correa. Was thinking that was going to be a 2-seam fastball working back to the corner, and it went the other way.
Here's Evan Gattis, a walk, a ground out, and a fly out. And Evan hammers one to left field. Will it stay fair? Yes! Line drive, home run, Evan Gattis. 3-run shot, and the Astros lead this game 9-0.
This ball was absolutely smoked. Picked on a first pitch fastball by Lucas Harrell. But we've seen this from Lucas before. If you remember back in his Astros days, he's a sinker ball pitcher. And when he gets the ball up, it's not really that difficult for these hitters to put the good part of the bat on it. And Evan Gattis just hits a line drive off the 2nd deck in left field here at Rogers Center for a 3-run jack.
That ball didn't have enough time to hook. It went from the bat to that facade fronting the 2nd deck here at Rogers Center in record time.
Yeah, here's the pitch. See the ball up and in, and Evan He's got that almost no load swing, but he is so strong, gets the barrel to bat on the ball and just hits a line drive screaming out of here.
Marwin Gonzalez takes a pitch inside. It's 1-1. 109 miles an hour exit velocity for Evan Gattis. And a 20-degree launch angle. That is a line drive 3-run home run. Gattis now up to 8 home runs on the year.
You can see this ball not hooking hardly at all, just because Evan hit it so hard. You know, 20-degree launch angle, that's a little bit low for a long, majestic home run. But when you hit it that hard, 100+ miles, 105+ mile an hour, that's going to get out of anywhere.
Marwin to right field. Jose Bautista backs up and makes the play. And Marwin retired for out number 2 of the inning. May have broken his bat.
Yeah, got a piece of firewood. That ball got in on him a little bit.
Evan hitting his 2nd home run of this series. He had 32 home runs last year. Again, not getting as much playing time this year, with Carlos Beltran getting the majority of the at-bats as the DH and Brian McCann the majority of the at-bats behind the plate. But Evan still with 8 home runs and 38 RBIs as we play in the 6th inning of the final game before the All-Star break. Here is Beltran. Bases cleared with 2 outs. He has a 2-0 count. Tried to hold up on a pitch that may have been outside. It's 2-1.
You know, that's a problem that AJ has had. It's a good problem to have, but a problem nonetheless, trying to find at bats for all these guys.
Left field side, Pierce near the foul line will make the play to end the inning. But a 3-run home run off the bat of Evan Gattis, and the Astros lead by 9.
Moment for Brad Peacock in this game. After walking the bases loaded, he did get 2 outs. Ryan Goins, he ends up making some real quality pitches here. You know, if the Blue Jays score a couple runs here, you never really know what's going to happen, but he ends up getting out of that inning, preserving the shutout. Astros score on top of that, but the game could have been different if they end up scoring a couple runs.
Morales to left field. Marwin Gonzalez on the edge of the warning track makes the play. Peacock retires Kendrys Morales on 1 pitch. Brad started the inning with 89 pitches, so could be his final inning. He did go 6 innings in his last start against Atlanta, threw 99 pitches. 6 is also his highest total of the season. Went 6 against the Rangers on the road. Here's Troy Tulowitzki. Brad last pitched 7 innings in a start back in 2013, and that was right around the same time he faced these Blue Jays for the first time, and he hasn't faced Toronto since until today. Tulowitzki with a foul ball back into the crowd, 0-1.
This has been a good start for him. He's had 4 walks, but he's only given up 4 hits. Has made some big pitches like we just saw against Ryan Goins to get out of that bases loaded jam there in the 4th inning.
It'll be an interesting Stroh poll to see the results. If you're just joining us, you can still vote at Root Sports SW. The biggest surprise out of the Astros pitching staff in the first half. Choices were Fiers, Peacock, and Phillies. I think today's starter is the probable winner, but all 3 of those guys have really done a nice job. Fiers especially coming back from where he started the season. First 9 starts were very difficult.
Well, Brad's the winner for me.
Center field, Jake on the run, still going to the track, and he reaches up and makes the catch, and then braces himself in front of the wall, and he'll get a visit from his buddy George Springer, who runs all the way from right field to fist bump with him in straightaway center.
But that ball was well hit. Jake did a good job of getting a great jump, and that's the hardest play for a center fielder, the ball that's right back over his head, because that ball could slice, it could hook either way. Jake having a good idea that ball's going to kind of curve a little to his left, our right, and makes that play almost right up against the wall there in center field.
He makes difficult plays look easier than they are.
He is such a wonderful defensive player. I mean, he's done a much better job this year offensively, but I've always said if he could hit 250, just 250, he's a Gold Glove center fielder.
0-1 the count to Steve Pearce, single and a walk in this game. Peacock has allowed 4 hits and 4 walks. He has also struck out 4. Misses with that slider there. It's 1-1. I think what we're seeing out of Brad today is he has had good stuff, but not his best stuff. And here he is against a pretty good Toronto Blue Jays team in the 6th inning with a 4-hit shutout.
Yeah, other than that 4th inning where he walked 3, he's had good command, not great command. But with the experience he's had this year, being in the rotation as long as he's had and pitching as well as he has, you're talking about a guy that can go out there and has the confidence to get big league hitters out without his best stuff.
3-1 the count. You can see the frustration from Brad as he missed with that pitch. Astros will make a call down to the bullpen as Brad now approaches the 100 pitch plateau. He's been over that 100 pitch plateau just once this season. Ball 4. 5th walk issued by Peacock, all coming in the last 3 innings.
Well, we were talking about how good Jake is defensively. Defense isn't just going and getting the ball. It's also the arm. And May 11th was a big game here for the Houston Astros to finish off the Yankees with a play at the plate. Jake doing a great job of first charging the ball, then breaking it down so he can get his footwork right. Good quick release, strong throw to home. Jacoby Ellsbury out easily at the plate, and that was to end the ball game. So that was a pretty nice ending for Jake and the Houston Astros.
Astros winning 3 out of 4 in that series against New York, and with that first win they took over the best record in baseball. They have not given up the best record in the American League Mantle. They still have a wide margin over Boston for that. They did lose their best record in baseball mark for the first time last night when the Dodgers won for the 25th time in their last 29 games. Here's a ball down the line, hooking, and it's a fair ball off the bat of Pilar. To third goes Pearce. Gonzalez gets the ball back in. Pilar with a 2-out double. That was on the line drive by Kevin down the line as Brad Peacock has made 100 pitches on that last pitch. Once again, he'll have Ryan Goins batting with 2 outs. This time with 2 runners on, 2nd and 3rd. Last time it was with the bases loaded. 5 walks and 5 hits issued by Peacock. Strike 1 to Ryan.
Astros do have action in the bullpen. Looks like James Hoyt is up.
Davinsky up earlier. Now Hoyt. Pop up. Playable. Bregman, foul territory. Toronto has left 9 runners on through 6 innings, and Brad Peacock has his shutout intact. 9-0 Houston. We head to the 7th.
Ball today, starting with Yuli Gurriel, but it didn't stop there. Astros have hit the ball extremely hard today off J. Happ and Lucas Harrell, driving the ball to all fields. End up scoring a bunch of runs, giving Brad Peacock plenty of room to work with. And maybe the hardest of all was that last one by Evan Gattis, getting a fastball from Lucas Harrell on the first pitch, up and in, and just hitting a line drive off the facade of the second deck. And you know, when the Astros have this long ball thing going, Todd, they are next to impossible to pitch against, because it really seems like you don't usually just have one guy. You know, these guys hit multiple home runs all the time, and it looks like they almost feed off of each other.
And it can be contagious in that dugout for sure. Brad Peacock and Evan Gattis, the battery mate, having a discussion. New pitcher for Toronto is Aaron Loup. Loup had been used a lot coming into this series. He had pitched in 4 of the previous 6 games in 3 out of 4. He also has a new battery mate. Miguel Montero takes over behind the plate.
29-year-old left-hander, doesn't throw overly hard, gets right-handers out better than left-handers.
Yuli Gurriel goes down as he is hit by that pitch on the 0-1 delivery.
Yeah, it looked like Loup tried to go inside with a breaking ball and just jerked it completely all across the plate. When you have that low 3/4 arm slot, that is a problem for guys like this. And you see Yuli wearing that on the outside of that left calf. I'm sure he's not very happy about that.
That is not,
I think we heard him scream up here,
what you want to have happen at any point, but especially when you're looking forward to a little break right above the shin guard. Didn't catch much of the guard.
Yeah, how good that did, huh?
Here's Alex Bregman. Alex has scored a couple of runs, double walk, and he's also struck out. So Aaron Loup on for Lucas Harrell. Harrell pitched 2 innings behind the starter J. Happ. They have gone lefty, righty, lefty as Bregman takes a pitch down and in. It's 2-0.
What I was saying about Loop was he's actually better against right-handers with that two-seam fastball. It throws us out about 70% two-seam fastballs. Left-handers are hitting almost 300 against him.
On the ground towards third, Donaldson can't get the handle on it, and everybody's safe. With Donaldson, a Gold Glove caliber third baseman, you anticipate a double play. Instead, first and second, nobody out.
He just tried to do too much with this. He was going to make the throw on the run to second base. With the ball being a little bit of a slow roller, if he just goes to first, there's not a problem here. But you see he's going to try and make a sidearm throw to second. The transfer just wasn't there. Ends up being the second error on the day for Josh Donaldson.
I think he's got to at least try to go to second, because Gurriel wasn't even in the picture when you saw. But he just decided, he tried to get too quick, it looked like.
Yeah, again, just like the first error.
Marisnick in the air to right field. That's going to fall in for a hit and bounce it to the crowd. Jake Marisnick, a little ground rule double just inside the line and right. 10-0 Astros.
See, Jake gets beat with the fastball, but has enough strength to fight it off down the right field line. The key to this is he didn't hit the ball hard. If he hits the ball hard, it probably slices foul.
Right.
But since there wasn't any exit velocity on this one, hardly at all, that ball doesn't slice very much. Gets it just inside the chalk for an RBI double.
That 7 runs per game average is still a possibility going into the All-Star break.
One big swing here.
I'm telling you. And it's Nori Aoki.
We saw him go deep.
The All-Star George Springer will get the rest of the game off, and Aoki will bat lefty on lefty here and take a pitch outside for ball 1. Springer ends the day 2 for 3, 2 runs scored. There's George. His All-Star break has just started. Outside to Aoki, 2-0. And you're thinking, well, why a lefty on Loop? But Aoki handles lefties.
It handles him very well. 10-0 for the Houston Astros. The Blue Jays are actually playing the infield in.
AJ had 3 lefties to choose from on his bench today. McCann, Reddick, Aoki. He went with Aoki here, and it's 2-1.
Hey, look at this.
AJ said, you know what, George has done enough. He's the one guy of the All-Stars that didn't get a true off day, so we got him out early 2 days ago, and then early in today's game. And Aoki down in the count 2-2.
You notice how Aoki falling backwards on that. That's where he has trouble, especially against left-handers, is with the fastball inside. You throw it out over the plate to Nori, you're actually doing him a favor. That's where he can kind of play with it, hit it oppo, pull it.
Just stays alive on that 2-2 pitch. So Correa got the day off on Wednesday in Atlanta, and part of that was due to, sliding into home plate and the thumb was a little sore. Altuve got the day off yesterday. And so George ended up not really with a full day off, but with 4 or 5 innings off over 2 games in the series. Little looper into shallow right. Batista long run. He won't get there. That's going to fall in for a hit. In to score is Bregman. Astros lead this game 11-0 on the RBI by Nori Aoki.
I said you need to pitch him inside. Well, Loop wasn't listening. Throws the breaking ball away from the Aoki, and that's where he can really extend and just kind of get the bat on the ball, and that's how he's gotten so many hits in his career. This one, again, not hit hard, but deep enough to score the run and get an RBI.
Luke faces 4 batters, does not retire any of them. There was an error in the mix. Astros lead 11-0. We'll tell you about the new Blue Jays reliever when we come back. With a customized brick that will welcome fans into the ballpark for seasons to come. Order your commemorative brick now at astros.com/bricks. Astros with runners on first and third and nobody out in the 7th inning, leading 11-0. And the new pitcher is Ryan Tepera.
The Brazoswood High School / Sam Houston State University alum is actually 3rd in the American League in innings pitched. This will be his 39th game here in 2017.
Altuve had a hit against him in Thursday night's game. Swings and grounds one foul. Altuve is on the brink of doing something right now that hasn't happened since 1976. George Brett is the last player to have 5 or more consecutive 3-hit games. Altuve has had a 3-hit game in every game on this road trip, including today. He has a home run and a single, looking for his 3rd hit. In that 76 run by George Brett, he had 3 hit games in 6 consecutive contests.
You know, a lot of these have not been hit hard, but that's the beauty of Jose Altuve, is when you do make a quality pitch and get weak contact, it still may be a hit.
Fouled away. It's 1-2. Tepera ended up pitching an inning and a third in that relief appearance on Thursday. Allowed a home run to Carlos Beltran. Astros with 11. 3 in the 6th inning. 2 more here in the 7th. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. Altuve, base hit to left field. 3rd hit of the game. 5 straight 3-hit games for Altuve. First time in the major league since Brett did it in 1976.
Jose Altuve just continues to set records. Every time we think we've seen everything when it comes to Jose, guess what? He's going to do something new. That is a lot of hits.
15 hits on this road trip, and he didn't play yesterday.
Goodness gracious, that is so much fun.
15-hit road trip in 5 games played.
And we talk about how some of these haven't been hit hard. That wasn't one of them. That ball was hit pretty well through that 5-6 hole and scoring Jake Marisnick easily from 3rd base.
He has exactly 3 hits in all those 5 games. Here's a ball rocketed to center field at the bat of Correa. Forget about it. Way out to center field. 15-0 Houston. Carlos Correa, his 2nd home run. The Altuve Correa middle of the infield All-Stars are putting on a show.
My goodness, are these guys swinging the bat well. Carlos Correa with another long drive to the middle of the field. This is when hitters are going well, when they're using the big part of the field. And Correa is doing such a nice job of letting that ball travel, getting some backspin, and hitting some long, majestic home runs.
Correa will go to the All-Star break now with 20 home runs. He is 4 for 5 today with 2 home runs and 5 runs batted in. And a big hug from his All-Star buddy, George Springer. 15-0. Brad Peacock has started 3 games this year in which the Astros have scored 15 runs or more. There's an out as Evan Gattis is retired. First out of the 7th, and everybody here in the Rogers Center.
There it is.
They have reached the 7 runs per game plateau. They will head into the All-Star break, and this is still potentially has a chance to move. This is still moving if the Astros score any more today. But right now, if they do not score another run in this game, they will go to the All-Star break averaging over 7 runs per game on the road.
That is truly remarkable. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's crazy how they're doing it too. It's not, a big game here or there. You don't score this many runs by, putting up 15 runs every 4 or 5 days. They're scoring runs consistently every single day. That's why it's such a shock when they don't score at least 4 runs.
When a guy like Stroman shuts them down for a run on 6 innings. How about that last swing by Carlos?
Yeah, we're going to take a look at it right here. First pitch, slider, cutter from Tepera, and he knows exactly what happened. You see the reaction from him. Middle away, mid-thigh. I mean, if you're going to hit one, that's the one to hit. But he does a nice job of just pummeling that mistake.
Marwin Gonzalez goes down swinging. Well, George Springer took over the RBI lead on the team for a couple of games, but Carlos Correa has reassumed that title with a 5 RBI game. He's up to 65. George did not get a run today, but he scored a couple of runs. He's at 61.
The Astros, when scoring 4 or more runs this year going into today, so not including this game, are 50-12. That is a huge number. Now that says something about the offense. It also says something about the pitching. That you can keep the opponents to 4 runs or less, you're going to win a large portion of those games. So you can understand why the Astros record is where it is.
1-1 the count to Carlos Beltran. It continues to amaze when this average of runs per game rises with each road trip. 5 runs per game. If you can average 5 runs per game for the season, you are so excited, because that has only been done 4 times in the last 5 seasons by any team, American League or National League. 4 times in 5 years in the major leagues as a team averaged 5 runs per game. And then the Astros started out the year and they were around 6+ on the road. You're like, that's crazy. There's no way that can stay at 6.5 or more. And it kept going.
No, it can't stay. It's going up.
Kept going up. Now it's more than 7 runs per game on the road. And a pitch down low, walk to Carlos Beltran. The Astros are playing their 44th game on the road. They played 45 in the first half at home. So they played 1 more home game than road game. And they have scored 373 runs, 201 runs on the road. And let me get that right. Pitch gets away. Beltran moves up to second base. The Astros averaging over 7 runs a game. On the road, they have scored 310 runs in 1 fewer game, and at home they've scored 213 runs.
Which even at home, that's a big number.
Nothing to sneeze at. 213 in 45 games.
Goodness gracious.
But 97 more runs on the road in 1 fewer game.
Giving American League pitchers nightmares right now, thinking about trying to get out these Houston Astros hitters.
310 runs scored on the road before the All-Star break. Remarkable. Gurriel started this inning. He is the 10th batter of the inning. He was hit by a pitch, and it's 2-1. Beltran on base for the 2nd time with his 2nd walk. Well, this will be another happy flight, it appears, for the Astros as we play in the 7th inning. They have had so much success on the road this year. And it seems like they have had a big getaway day record as well all year long. Gurriel in the air to left center field. Pretty well hit, but in the air too high. Pilar will call off Pierce and make the play for the final out of the inning.
Carlos Correa, All-Star shortstop, 20 home runs before the All-Star break on this swing. Gets that cutter, slider up out over the plate, drives it to center, straightaway center. Astros up 15-0.
pitching hero of the season's first half, Brad Peacock. Big winner, 67% of the vote. Pirates getting 22%. Nice outing by Brad today, guys.
All right, Brad Peacock, nice job today as he goes 6 innings of 5-hit shutout baseball. Walked 5. That's a number he'd like to see reduced, but nonetheless shutting down the Blue Jays, and he turns it over to James Hoyt.
30-year-old right-hander has actually had 3 scoreless innings in a row in his last 3 games. He's making his 28th appearance on the season. Carries a 13.17 strikeout per 9 rate, which is extremely high and is among the best in club history with guys less than 50 innings.
Ezequiel Carrera will pinch hit here for Jose Bautista. Bautista, an early start to his All-Star break as well, like George Springer, and Hoyt behind 2-0. I'm sure A.J. Hinch wishes this was one of those days where he had an expanded roster. He'd like to get his Altuves and Correas, and guys have been playing a lot of baseball, an extra breather here, but really with a 3-man bench and one of them being your catcher, you can only take out so many starters.
Yeah, and when you're leading in a game like this, part of the unwritten rules in baseball is you don't pull out your whole lineup. That you can take a guy out here or there, but it's the whole idea of showing up your opponent.
Correa up to 65 runs batted in, which is currently 3rd in the American League. George Springer, for now, has passed Aaron Judge for the lead in runs scored. Judge is still playing in this game as they play in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Judge has not scored a run in this game. Springer scored 2, so he flipped him in that category. And Jose Altuve is going to go into the All-Star break leading baseball and hitting. It's quite a trio of American League All-Stars that the Astros will have representing in Miami.
Well, that's not a shocker for Altuve with
flare into shallow left that Alex Bregman makes the play on.
15 hits in the last 5 days. Brad Peacock did a nice job today. Didn't have his great stuff, didn't have his good command, but I thought especially pitching his way out of trouble a couple different times. Made some big pitches in tight situations. We saw the breaking ball. We saw the fastball. Even a few changeups today. So Brad Peacock did a nice job of controlling the hard contact against a pretty powerful Blue Jays lineup.
Miguel Montero, who has spent most of this season with the Cubs, came on in the top half of the 7th inning defensively, giving Russell Martin a breather. Takes a called strike in his first plate appearance. See what he has done on the year. As a member of the Blue Jays, he only has 7 at-bats and a couple of starts. 0 for 7. Hoyt ahead 0-2. It will be the most crowded flight in Astros history to an All-Star game, with 6 players going to the All-Star game. Their previous mark was 5. They have never had 3 starters voted in by the fans until this year. So in a season in which the Astros are doing things that have never happened before in franchise history, the nation's paying attention.
Yeah, there should be getting a lot of love during this All-Star break, the Houston Astros. With that many players, pretty good chance they're going to win their 60th game today. They're going to the break 60-29. It's just been a historic first half for this club.
I agree with you about the thing that's most impressive of this first half is they really didn't miss a beat. They easily could have missed a beat with Keuchel going down, with Morton going down. McCullers on the 10-day DL didn't miss as much time as those other 2. McHugh has never pitched so far at the big league level. He was expected to make another rehab start for Corpus Christi tomorrow. And here they are. Here they are with 60 wins before the All-Star break, assuming we don't see the most miraculous comeback ever, down 15 in the 7th inning. Here they are with this incredible record, despite their starters going down with injury.
Well, we used to say that there wasn't anybody having any great seasons. Well, that's changed. There's been a couple of these guys, Correa, Springer, Altuve, having just wonderful offensive seasons. But pitching-wise, they really haven't clicked on all cylinders with the injuries that they've had, a couple lack of performance. But it's just been so fun to watch this team and the resiliency they've shown on a daily basis come to the ballpark and win it.
Strikeout for Hoyt as he gets Miguel Montero. Hoyt's first strikeout. The thing I'm looking forward to, in addition to watching the game with all the Astros participating in it, is it's a chance for the fans of Major League Baseball to see how much joy and passion these three play with. Springer, Altuve, Correa. They have as much fun and play the game like they're still in Little League.
They do, and they'll show that in Miami also. But hopefully what this will mean is, with more national recognition, there will be more people watching the Astros and seeing how these guys play on a daily basis.
We've had so many people tune in this summer on Root Sports already, and we appreciate everybody watching this incredible, historic, unprecedented first half in Astros history. And we look forward to bringing you a lot more exciting baseball on the other side of the All-Star break beginning Friday night with Minnesota. We've also seen the crowds responding lately too. Big crowds at Minute Maid Park, back-to-back sellouts in that last weekend series against the Yankees.
Was it over 120,000 in a 3-game series?
40 each night.
Oof.
Including 2 sellouts. Darwin Barney's going to pinch hit. So the top 3 guys in the lineup are all out of the game for the Blue Jays, and James Hoyt gets the Blue Jays down 1-2-3.
By Kubota. On this date in 1976, history was made for this organization. Larry Dierker throws the 5th no-hitter in Astros history. 5 no-hitters in this franchise. You can see against the Montreal Expos, the big, powerful right-hander was absolutely dominant this day. Was a pretty cool day for this organization to see Larry Dierker, longtime Houston Astro, still around occasionally today. We see him at Minute Maid Park. That 5th no-hitter for this organization.
Ed Herman, the catcher, a little throw there. Larry Dierker on this date in 1976. A couple things that we've reflected upon in 1976. Jeff Beliveau's the new pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays in the 8th.
The rumor was in that game that there wasn't a whole lot of people there. Then it got out over the radio that there was a no-hitter going on. People started showing up. There wasn't even anyone to video it. That was just the last couple pitches of the game.
Bregman high in the air to left where Steve Pearce waits for it. And that's out number 1.
So that's the only documentation of that game was those last couple pitches that they got the camera on him, and then the post-game interviews. Jeff Beliveau, the 30-year-old left-hander from Providence, Rhode Island. This is his 15th game. He's done a nice job. Opponents are 5 for 31 in his last 10 games.
Jake Marisnick will bat. Astros with 15 runs and 15 hits. Jake doubled in a run his last time up. He is 1 for 4. Foul back and out of play. We said we've mentioned 1976 a couple of times, the anniversary of the Larry Dierker no-hitter. Also the last time a major league player had 5 consecutive 3-hit games until today. George Brett the last one to do so until Jose Altuve accomplished that with his 3rd hit of the game. Altuve still in there for now. We'll get another at bat as Marisnick bats here with 1 out in the 8th inning. 11 overall no-hitters for Astros pitchers through the years. Dierker pitching the 5th of those 11. Mike Fiers the most recent.
And the only one at Minute Maid Park.
Two and 1 to Jake is inside. It's 3-1.
John Gimmons has a couple left-handers in his bullpen that are actually better against right-handers. We talked about Aaron Loop a few minutes ago. Jeff Beliveau's the same way. Left-handers hitting 261, right-handers 167.
Foul tip. It's 3-2. Beliveau normally gets a lot of ground balls when he's going well. All 3 of the Blue Jays in the top 3rd of their order are out of the game. Batista, Martin, Donaldson have all left the game. For the Astros, George Springer has the rest of the game off, but as always, he's hanging out in the dugout like he did the other day when the Astros had their big lead, or just outside the dugout, as the case may be. Right in front of Julia Morales. Three and 2 the count to Jake. Trying to hold up and wait for that breaking ball and swings through it, so Beliveau picks up a strikeout. There is George Springer's view of this game.
So Todd, what was did you have a favorite game or something from this first half?
I think my favorite game, I'll have to qualify it because we had the favorite game that was on Root Sports and then my favorite game. I think my favorite game we did not get to televise was that Yankees Saturday game, down 3 against Betances and Chapman. Crowd going crazy. Sold out crowd at Minute Maid Park. To me, that was the most exciting game. But I mean, the walk-off by George down to the last strike twice. Aoki was down to the last strike in that game, and then Springer was down to the last strike, and a 3-run home run against Seattle early in the season kind of got things going. That stands out, and then the Jake Marisnick throwout.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the 11-run 8th inning up in Minnesota.
Yeah, hard to top that
because they were beat. The offense hadn't done anything at all. There was a rain delay in the middle of that. the Springer at bat in that game, in that rally, and just how odd it was, because the offense really hadn't done anything at all up until that 8th inning.
Julia will have more on that game as we continue with the memories. Aoki, lefty on lefty, had a base hit to right field for an RBI his last time up.
Yeah, he also had the Alex Bregman first home run grand slam of the year on Derek Jeter Day, which he's a big Jeter fan.
That started this run for the Astros, where they have now won, coming into this game, 21 of their last 26 on the road.
You remember what his mother's dog's name is?
Jeter.
That's it.
Mom was at the game. Yeah, it's been one of those seasons that has started well, built up, and continued to improve. And rarely do you see a team. The Astros have only lost one road series all year long. One. That was in Cleveland. And it took the Indians winning one-run games, the final 2 games of that series, to win 2 out of 3 in that set. Bottom half of the 8th we go, 15-0.
The Astros take on the Twins at Minute Maid Park this Saturday, and 10,000 fans will get a Carlos Correa Handshake Series bobblehead presented by Houston Methodist. For more info, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. This is going to complete your Handshake Set bobblehead series with Altuve, so you don't want to miss that one. We are going to get a look at a young pitcher on the mound here in Francis Martez, but working with these young pitchers, really all of the staff has been Brian McCann this first half of the season. 3 All-Stars on that pitching staff as well, and all of them have mentioned McCann at least once when talking about some of their success. He came in, he was adamant about learning about everyone on the staff before he even met these guys. So in spring training, he knew he had to come in, build some rapport with these guys, and it's really paid off, having that calming effect on guys like Martez and some of these other younger guys when things don't go as planned. And he's really good about taking the blame when things don't go right as well. But he's also done a good job with pushing guys to really step up their game or try something new, and that includes Lance McCullers, who started to use his changeup more, and taking McCullers to another level, really an all-star level. Rare to see guys shake him off, and Mike, I wanted to ask you the value of that kind of relationship that McCann has with the staff.
Well, when you have a guy behind the dish like Brian that really cares, that doesn't really care what he does offensively, it's all about whatever he needs to do for the team to win. And you know, the excitement that AJ talked about of him coming in before ever getting to spring training, he was excited about working with these pitchers. He was looking at video, and it's been really fun to see the relationship grow between the pitching staff and Brian McCann. And that was set in spring training. That's not been done during the regular season. By the time they got to April, they were already in complete trust with Brian McCann behind the dish.
fine drive by Justin Smoke into center field off Francis Martez.
And to have that trust factor in your catcher, a guy that's been in the league a long time, all he needed to do is learn the pitching staff and know that he has done his homework, how each pitcher needs to get a hitter out, because it's not the same for everyone. Somebody throws hard, somebody doesn't throw hard. You have to do it differently. And Brian McCann does his homework to know how that approach needs to change from one pitcher to the next.
Going into the All-Star break, Brian needs to ease back and not continue to work, because hopefully that's a sheet with his vacation plans, because he deserves a break for the 4 games or 4 days as much as anybody.
Yeah, he's been beat up. You got to remember, Brian's not 25 years old anymore, and he's logged a lot of innings this year. And we talk about pressure pitches for pitchers. There's pressure pitches for catchers also, and it's everyone that's thrown.
Little pop-up. Who wants it, Correa or Bregman? Carlos calls Alex off, and that's out number 1. Well, Julia mentioned it, you know, the belief in the McCullers changeup, the lack of shaking from Lance or Dallas, and really any of the pitching staff with Brian McCann back there. So it's a guy that carries a belief of what needs to be done, and the pitchers have believed in him from day one, and I think that's why you saw all the success. And here the Astros are still 3rd in ERA with all these injuries to their pitching staff, especially the starting rotation, 3rd in the American League in ERA.
What that allows the pitcher to do, to know that you got a catcher behind the dish that is completely caught up on everything. You know, knows how to work the hitters, how to work the pitcher. When you have that kind of trust, now the pitcher, especially the young guys like a Lance McCullers, he can concentrate on just what he needs to do, knowing that pitch selection is going to be taken care of with McCann behind the dish.
Francis Martez throws one to the backstop. That's going to allow Smoke to get to second. That is a wild pitch. Be interesting to see what they do with Francis Martez in the second half. He's 21 years old. He has been primarily a starter, now getting a chance to work out of the bullpen with Charlie Morton coming back and Joe Musgrove back from the minor leagues. Where does Martez end up after this?
Well, this is his 7th game. Now, in those 7 games, he's had 4 starts. And the Houston Astros look at Martez as a starting pitcher. Right now, he's down there because, you had Charlie Morton come back from the disabled list. I think that the Astros, they want to limit his innings because he's only 21 years old. This is a very young man. But they also want him in the rotation. So I expect that as one of these other pitchers comes back off the disabled list, he might be the one that's chosen out of the bullpen to go back down to AAA and continue being a starter.
Pitching out of the bullpen for the 2nd time in this series. Martez down to the count 3-1. Martez also pitched in that victory on Friday night, pitched the 9th inning. So pitching in 2 games in the last 3 days. Tulowitzki in the air to center field. Marisnick is there. Smoke will tag. Jake will make the throw. And it's close play. But Smoke just barely saved. How about that throw by Jake Marisnick? And he gets a pat on the back from Marwin Gonzalez.
I'm not sure exactly what Justin Smoke was doing right there. You're down 15. Really not that much of a benefit at this point to be at third base other than the chance to end the shutout. And you knew Jake was going to come up throwing.
This is a tremendous throw from pretty deep center.
Gets behind the ball, gets his momentum going to his target. And you see Alex Bregman on the other end kind of try and deke Justin Smoke by just standing there, not really getting ready to receive the throw. Watch him just stand straight up. And then snap tag right there at the last second.
Fun to watch that guy play defense. And this year's offensive numbers are career best. 0-1 the count to Steve Pearce. Pearce has been on base 3 times. Single, walk, walk. Had some people on Twitter asking how many times the Astros have scored 10 runs or more in a game. Today is the 14th time this season they have been in double digits in runs scored. 11 of those 14 are on the road.
They've played well at home, but they have just been killing the ball on the road. Really, from the very first road trip of the season, if you remember, all the way back at the beginning, they didn't play well at home.
No.
Offense was not there. It wasn't until they went on the road. And then Jose Altuve had something like 9 opposite field hits in like 4 games.
Called third strike. Martez gets Pierce looking, and Francis gets through the 8th without allowing a run.
Back on May 29th, Memorial Day, these Astros were down 8-2 to the Twins, and they got after the Twins bullpen. It started with a Josh Reddick walk. There was a hit by pitch. There was a couple of big hits, including Marlins. Right there, the 2-run single for this. So they were down 8-5, 8-6. Springer's up to bat. In the middle of his at bat, it starts to sprinkle a little bit. So there was a 10-minute rain delay. Springer was not happy. The dugout was not happy. Pretty upset that the Twins grounds crew would maybe try to kill the momentum a bit, is what they said after that game. However, Springer got right back in the box, and he would drive in a run after the rain delay. Josh Reddick had a big go-ahead 2-run double. The inning just kept going. Carlos Beltran with a big 3-run home run to make it 13-8. Remember, they started down 8-2. They scored 11 runs in that inning. 14 batters came to the plate. It felt like it was a 2-hour inning. I don't think it was 2 hours, but it felt like they played forever. An incredible display at Target Field that day on Memorial Day. That has to be my favorite game, because I had a great spot too. I was actually down where the grounds crew stays underneath, and they have those conversations and those meetings about what they're going to do. And I was trying to get out of the rain. Well, it's very close to the on-deck circle as well. So I got to see all of that unfold within just feet from me. It was really spectacular to watch in person.
Julia, it was mine also, and I did pre and post on that game, and I can remember when they decided to put the tarp on the field, I yelled at the television, no, because I felt the same thing, that it was going to kill the momentum. But for George to come back and get the base hit after that rain delay, then I knew, okay, this was going to be a special inning, because there's so many times Mother Nature has killed rallies.
I like how Julia said it was sprinkling.
It was. Do you remember it rained earlier in the game? That was the game where we went through all 4 seasons.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
And I had an umbrella, I had a jacket, and I was having to take it off because it would get too hot, all within minutes. And it had rained pretty hard earlier in the game. They played through it. So that's why the players were so upset after the game, saying, why then? It wasn't even coming down very hard. And, of course, it only lasted 10 minutes. But
I think it felt like 2 hours to AJ that day.
Oh, it did. He was not feeling well. He didn't finish the game in the dugout that day. didn't get to do post-game. Of all the days that we have plenty of questions for the manager, he wasn't able to do post-game that day.
A.J. Hinch was sick in that game in Minnesota. One of the great memories of the first half, not A.J. being sick, but that 11-run eighth inning with the Astros winning that game eventually 16-8. Altuve's on base again. He has been on base 5 consecutive times with a home run, a walk, 2 singles, and now he draws a walk to start the 9th inning. Altuve, in case you missed it, in his last at bat, accomplished something that hasn't been done since 1976 when he had his 5th consecutive 3-hit game. George Brett with the Kansas City Royals, the last to accomplish that.
Yeah, that was something special. This road trip has been so good, and you know they all haven't been hit hard. Some of them have been Jose Altuve specials, but they all count.
A couple of hard hit balls off this guy's bat today. Carlos Correa, 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in, also has 2 singles. He has scored 3 runs. He has driven in 5. The combination of Altuve and Correa have been on base 9 times today. They have driven in 6 runs, and they have also scored 6 runs. That's not bad for your American League middle of the infield starters.
Well, this at bat for Correa is off Joe Biagini. 26-year-old Redwood City, California native, is making his 27th appearance.
Carlos does not go after that pitch. It's 1-2. Remember when you were saying things did not go well in the beginning of the season? The Astros only scored 21 runs in their first 8 games. They were averaging, somehow this offense for 8 games was averaging less than 3 runs a game. That included a shutout in Seattle, and then they were being shut out again in Game 9 when we tried that new food fair they have at Safeco Field, and things have never looked back ever since.
This team has been, in the past, it's been so reliant on the home run, and they've hit a lot of home runs this year, still among the league leaders. But it's not just that. They have scored runs in every possible way. Their batting average is up, their on base percentage is up, their slugging percentage is up. It's truly been a historic rise for this offense all the way through this first half.
Through 88 games in Houston Astros history, over 50 years now, the quickest team to 30 wins, the quickest team to 40 wins, 50 wins. After today, they'll be the quickest team to 60 wins. Most wins, highest winning percentage, most runs per game, highest batting average, OPS, home runs, and the previous most with 40-plus RBIs was 5 players through 88 games, and this Astros team has 7. It is by far the best Astros offense in the history of this franchise.
It's not even close.
Not even
even
close.
through the Killer Bees days, and this offense has just, and they do it on a daily basis. There's only been a handful of games that you could look at and say, okay, well, the offense just simply didn't show up today.
These guys really like each other too. As Carlos Correa draws a walk, Correa was right in the middle as they walked off the field at the end of the 8th inning and had his arm around Bregman and Altuve's shoulders, and then Jake Marisnick joined the group. And Jose Altuve said, you know what, George Springer doesn't have anything to do. I'm going to have him hold my hat and glove in between innings.
This team's only been shut out twice this season.
There's George, either talking to Julia or our cameraman. It looks like Julia, or a fan. Talking to somebody. He's got Altuve's glove and hat there on the right-hand side. Back-to-back walks issued by Biagini.
And that's why AJ doesn't like to have starting position players on the bench, because they get bored. They're used to doing something all the time. So then they start messing with each other.
George ended his pre-All-Star break festivities with a 2 for 4 day today. Should have been 3 for 4. Donaldson robbed him by spearing a hard hit line drive and then throwing it away. It went as an error. Gattis has a 3-run home run. Also has an 11-game hitting streak. his second longest hitting streak of his career. He once had a 20-game hitting streak in 2014.
Well, the way he's doing this one is much tougher because of there might be 3 or 4 days in a row he doesn't play, get a pinch hit here or there. So this is a much tougher job than when he's getting consistent at bats. And 20 is a nice number, but 11 for a guy that it's probably been over about a month that he's had to do this.
2-1 the count. This Blue Jays team has some decisions to make. They have a team that has some veterans. With a loss today, they will fall to 6 games under 500 going into the All-Star break. They come out of the All-Star break on the road with 3 against the Tigers, 4 at Fenway, and 3 at Cleveland. 10-game road trip right out of the gates, where if they don't make a move, and that's a tough group of cities to make a move, as there's a line drive base hit, the Astros will continue to add runs. Correa to third, Altuve scores. RBI double by Evan Gattis, 16-0.
Yeah, that road trip is going to make or break this Blue Jays team, and they may not even make it all the way through before Mark Shapiro decides it's time to start moving some players. They may do it anyways, but they've got some valuable pieces. Josh Donaldson, one of them, swinging to the bat as well as he has just this 4-game series, has definitely upped his value.
Here's Marwin Gonzalez. He has a great opportunity to extend a streak. He has an RBI in 6 straight games, as he has the infield back and runners on second and third and nobody out. Marwin's still looking for his first hit. He's the only Astro that has not reached base today. Carlos Beltran, the only other Astro without a hit. He's been on base a couple of times via the walk. There is Carlos on deck. Marwin with 52 runs batted in, an RBI in a career high 6 straight games. Astros continue to add to their run total. There's a ball up the middle. Nice play by Barney. His throw is wide. Marwin's going to be safe. Gattis will trot home. Marwin will head to second. Astros add 2 more runs, an RBI for Gonzalez. He's now had an RBI in 7 straight games. The next run scores on an error. It is 18-0, a new season high.
Hey, you just said Marwin hadn't been on base, so he fixed that in just a pitch or two. Darwin Barney, ranging to his right, tries to make the underhand flip, going completely away from first base, and doesn't throw anywhere close to Justin Smoke.
That 16-8 game Julie was talking about earlier was originally their high run total of the year, and then 2 days later they scored 17 against the Twins, with a catcher Chris Jimenez finishing up as a reliever. And today the Astros scoring 18, a new season high in this incredible 2017 season. Here's Carlos Beltran.
18 runs on 17 hits. Blue Jays defense has not helped out this game.
3 errors committed by the Jays. Marwin up to 53 runs batted in at the All-Star break. He has 2 more than his previous career high in less than half of the at-bats that he had last year when he drove in 51. Beltran on top of that pitch. It's 1-2. Carlos, couple of walks. When your number 6 hitter is batting for the 6th time with nobody out in the 9th inning, your offense is doing something. To the right side, Barney. Gonzalez moves over to third. Beltran retired, and the fans here, who have had nothing to cheer about today, give a big ovation for the first out in the 9th.
Now, the majority of this sellout crowd has departed the Rogers Center at this point. Got their bobbleheads and went home.
Here's Yuli Gurriel. Yuli's been on base 3 times. home run. He hit the first of what is now 5 home runs for the Astros today. Yuli hit the first, Jose Altuve the second, Carlos Correa hit the first of his 2 in the second inning, and Evan Gattis also has 1. Correa is up to 20 home runs, Altuve is up to 13, Yuli has 11, and Evan Gattis now has 8. One of those games that's really not comfortable for anybody at this point. You don't want to keep tacking on runs, but you also have to still play the game of baseball. So with the infield back, Marwin probably will score a run here on a ground ball. And he might score one here, and he does. That pitch back to the backstop. That's now 19, another new season high on the wild pitch. $19-0. We got to open up the record books. I'm not sure if this has ever happened before. I know they've had a higher run total, but have they had a higher shutout total? 2-2 pitch is on the ground, foul. 19-0 in the ninth.
You know, in a situation like this, the pitchers keep pitching, the hitters keep hitting, but you're not nearly as aggressive on the bases. You don't want to make sure you're rubbing the noses in it.
To right field on the line, Carrera's back there, and that's out number 2 in the inning.
That was another quality at bat by Yuli. That ball was hit right on the nose, but straight to Carrera, the right fielder.
Most runs ever was 21, coming at Arizona on October 2nd of 2015. Pitch to Bregman is a strike. Alex has been on base 3 times and scored 3 runs. Scored on an error, reached on an error, walked and stole a base and scored. Officially 1 for 4 today.
All that 1 for 4, huh?
This was a day where the Blue Jays committed 3 errors and the umpires committed 3 errors. We had 3
That's right.
3 overturns in the first few innings of this game, 2 in the very first half inning. And the rest has been all Astros.
The first one was after the first pitch.
Right. First pitch in, we had a review. 2-2 the count. Springer, Altuve, and Correa all heading to Miami, all having a little discussion over on the bench.
I'm sure solving the world's problems, or at least where they're going to eat in Miami.
How much fun will they have? That's going to be such a great trip. Plus Lance, plus Dallas, plus Devo.
You know, it's awesome for the organization, the team, the organization, after the first half to have that kind of representation at the Midsummer Classic. I mean, we've seen other good teams in the past that don't get that representation.
It's all laughs. Altuve, another 3-hit game. Correa, 2 home runs. We know Dallas won't pitch. He's already been replaced on the roster. He will be down there, and he will be announced and introduced as one of the American League All-Stars. Chris Davinsky did not pitch today. Had he gone back-to-back, there's a chance we might not have seen him pitch in the All-Star game, but he did not pitch today. He did warm up. Lance would be on his normal 4 days rest. So we'll see who gets in the game in addition to the 3 starters. Outside, ball 4. Bregman draws the 3rd walk of this inning.
Well, now that Major League Baseball has gotten rid of the "it counts," meaning that the the All-Star game is back to just an exhibition. It doesn't dictate who has home field advantage on the World Series. Now more guys can get in the game. They don't have to worry about any kind of issues with with making sure you cover it in innings.
We have a new reliever. Joe Biagini walks his third of the inning and leaves the game. 19-0. Back with more. In the department of can the news get any better today, 19-0 in the ninth inning. And oh, by the way, guess who pitched off the mound today for the first time in a while?
Who would that be?
We'll tell you after this pitch. Jake Marisnick against Danny Barnes. We'll hold that suspense, although I think most people at home know who we're talking about. We'll have to wait till the next half inning. So there you go. His initials are DK, as Carrero will make the catch for the final of the top of the ninth. Everybody happy with Danny Barnes. It's 19-0 bottom of the ninth. Presented by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by Toyota. Let's go places. There he is, opening day starter, all-star. Was the leader in the major leagues in ERA before he didn't qualify for innings pitched while on the DL. But Dallas Keuchel off the mound today.
Has been playing catch for the last several days. They decided to get him off the mound. It was good to see Dallas free and easy. He actually threw for quite a while through a flat ground before going out to the bullpen. And from all reports we've heard, everything went pretty well.
Good to see Dallas Keuchel, after days of playing catch, throw off the bullpen mound today. Francis Martes had a long wait in the top half of this inning, and there is a bullet to center field. Pilar holds his bat as he lines out to center field. Julia, what else do you have on Dallas Keuchel?
Well, he's going to go to the All-Star game, but they'll be checking in with him to see how he feels coming off today, and throwing off the mound right here. He's throwing some breaking pitches as well today, which is always good to hear. He'll need a rehab start, at least one, if not a couple. So that they'll put their heads together, come up with a plan after they see how he's feeling from this. Also, Colin McHugh, guys, making that rehab start for Corpus Christi tomorrow. So this is another rehab start for him. He's done a few already, so he's trending in the right direction too.
Good to hear. This team has a chance with 2 more outs to pick up win number 60. More than a chance. They're going to do it. 2 outs in a 19-0 game. So 60 wins going into the All-Star break. Keuchel and McHugh on the way back.
Yeah, the best team in the American League actually getting better and getting healthier. That doesn't really bode well for the rest of the American League in the second half.
We have a new runs per game total going into the All-Star break with 4 runs in the 9th inning.
Okay.
7.13 per game.
And we were worried about just making 7.
I'm telling you, this is something that if you weren't watching it yourself, you wouldn't believe it. You would not believe a team could play 44 games and average 7.13 runs per game. The Astros had a chance at their biggest shutout victory ever, but that was just ended on the home run by Ezequiel Carrera. The previous mark, a 15-0 shutout against the Expos. They had a chance at a 19-0 win, but it's now 19-1. Carrera hitting a 9th inning home run, his 2nd home run of this series, and his career high 7th of the season.
Carrera picks on a high fastball, gets on top of and hits it very well to right field. Martes just trying to get through this inning and finish off this first half for the Astros. Missed up in the zone a little bit with that pitch, but it's unfortunate they don't get the shutout, but doesn't change the fact that this has been a pretty spectacular day for this offense.
Carrera in a 12-1 game in game 2 of this series hit a 9th inning home run against Francis Martes.
That was a hanging slider. This was actually a first pitch fastball.
Well, Martes allowing a couple of runs, both to Ezequiel Carrera on a solo home run in the 9th inning. A blowout wins for the Astros. So 19-1, the record of biggest shutout victory will not happen today. And Miguel Montero fouls one back. The Blue Jays are down to their final strike. Martes trying to get through 2 innings, has now allowed 2 hits and 1 run. On the ground, back to Martes, and the Astros are going to head to the All-Star break with a 19-1 victory. They are 60-29 going to the break. Just the 5th team in the last 40 years to have 60 wins before the break. Carlos Correa, 2 home runs. George Springer leads the league in runs scored, and Jose Altuve another 3-hit game.
The player of the game is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. And who else would it be? Well, it could have been a lot of guys in the lineup, but Carlos Correa. 5th career multi-home run game. Both of them long drives. The second one to straightaway center. Just every time you're making a mistake against this lineup or Carlos Correa. Today, they were hitting the ball extremely hard. And for that, he wins a free trip to Miami to the All-Star game.
New season high in runs scored.